All right, so welcome back to my channel. This time I have Manley.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Awesome. Manley, what is your OPS type and your social type?
Yeah, my OPS type is double feminine SETI, consume, play, sleep, blast, and I'm a social one.
Awesome. So you actually were typed long time ago. How long ago exactly were you typed?
Oh gosh, um, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago,
Hmm.
something like that. To be honest, I'm. Uh oh, did you freeze, my man? One sec.
Um, are we having a connection issue?
We might have for just a second, but it looks like it's better now. I'm
Okay.
showing full bars, so I don't know. It would be weird, but I'm seeing you perfect now.
Yeah, we should be fine. So yeah, I would imagine that realizing that you're a social type one, because technically I know you weren't like officially type, which there is no official type. But seeing that you're a social type one and your wife is seeing it as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, my wife is seeing it. And I also talked to, I think his name is Michael from the guy that works with Dave and Shan. He told me he was seeing social type one over anything else.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. All right. So just tell me, like, are you seeing it primarily with the TI, or are you seeing it with the SC? How is that working?
Are you asking where am I seeing the social type one the most?
So like with flexing, it can look different ways. I did interview Tom Alot. He's ENFJ,
Right.
um, and he's a social one. The way that it manifests more for him is like he'll kind of flex, not flexing, or he'll like flex the people that he knows or stuff like that. The more EJ version of flexing. So, but like with you, you're an EP. Are you seeing it with the lead SC, with all the functions? Like how's
Mm,
it going?
dang, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that too much. I've kind of been seeing the social flexing as like it kind of feels like an overall attitude more than anything to me. But if I had to say like where it pops up the most, it probably is the SE and the TI
Hmm.
in my life. I run a business and it's a construction business. Technically, it's a painting business, and to be honest, all of everything within construction and movement and just kind of like accomplishing things, especially that involve like at ST type systems, it's like super. I've learned it's like really simple to me, like more simple than what most people think it is. And I learned it kind of the hard way by like starting to hire people and trying to train them and them having a bunch of struggles.
Hmm.
And I started noticing that I flex in that area. Like I'll catch myself saying like, "How do you guys not understand how to do this?" And it's like moving a chair like 5 feet or something like
Yeah.
that. And I guess I didn't realize what kind of weird things that people struggled with when they don't work a certain way. But the flexing comes out where I'm like, hey, why do I know how to do this, but you guys don't? And I think
Hmm.
if I wasn't a social one, I wouldn't be kind of technically trashing people when they don't know how to do things that I think are really simple. Maybe I would, but the people that I know are social fours don't do stuff. They're not constantly
Yeah.
wondering.
I kind of relate to that too. I mean, I'm also social one. And we're similar types, you know. I am F over T, you're T over F.
Right.
I'm sleep over play, you're play over sleep. But yeah, I do relate to that in the sense that like when I'm like really irritated with, you know, the way that things are going in the blast side of things, I do point out a lot like, you know, this is the sensory, this is how it works, and
Right.
I think that this should go without saying. Like it's like one of those kind of things. Um, and so I do kind of relate to that. I'm curious. Let's see. So yeah, you're supposed to be friends last. You seem like a very friendly guy in the sense that I feel like you're like good with holding up conversation, doesn't feel awkward. There's like you don't feel like the last, like that type of vibe. So how do you think the friends last is playing out for you in particular?
Yeah, so that one was actually kind of hard for me, and I I justified it by saying, okay, I have play high, I'm double feminine, I'm SEFE, so I have some saviors up there that should technically make me. Sorry, my dog is chewing on something, and it's hopefully it's not loud. That should technically make me more capable of interacting with people, I would say, in a decently sociable manner, understanding the social
Mm.
spectrum, understanding what kind of tones and language should be used to have a real conversation with someone, or at least make them have a positive experience.
Mm.
But something that I did learn is like a lot of it's about like the attitude and the perspective that you have. Like technically, I've noticed that a lot of the time, what I'm doing is I'm using my social prowess to hold up my. It's to give people an experience and hold up my social status amongst the people that I'm around. I want to make sure that when they walk away, they're thinking, "Man, that was a super great experience. That guy Manley is awesome. I totally want to be around him again." Stuff like that. It's less of like, how can I have more fun with these people and have a really positive
Connect.
experience? Do you usually have connection issues?
There you are. No, I don't. This is the first time, well, maybe second time I've had something like this on a live.
Dang, man,
Um,
I'm doing stuff all like freaking day for business on here, and I never have connection issues. This sucks. Give me one
hmm,
sec. Let me try connecting to my hotspot. Maybe my Wi-Fi is being weird right now.
hmm,
Don't want that to happen.
hmm. I mean, it seems
One.
fine now. So,
Okay, if it happens again, I'll just switch over to my hotspot.
okay. All right. So yeah, you were saying about you have double feminine, you have play over sleep. It's SCFE, so you think that's why?
Right. Yeah, I don't know how much of this you heard, but I was talking about how it feels kind of like an attitude or perspective on how you're actually using those. Like, um, I might have the same social awareness, technically speaking, as maybe a social four, but the way that they're doing it is an attitude where they're trying to actually connect with people and have maybe a very real, intimate, positive, lasting experience with that person. Like, how can I make sure that this person feels equal to me, very loved by me, very connected to me in an intimate, trusting fashion? Where, as much as like I think that stuff matters, um, my focus is less about like how am I going to have the most lasting relationship with this person, or at least it feels less like that. It's more about how can I perform in a way around this social group that will make them feel like I'm a person that they can count on, that is able to accomplish anything that needs to be accomplished, that is really cool. That I want them to walk away at the end of the experience saying like, "Dang, that guy was awesome. I want to hang out with him again." It's less.
Hmm.
It feels more like it's about status maybe and um, capability and um,
Hmm.
making sure that I'm the lead of the pack versus like a real connection, which I don't like saying that, but technically I've watched like social fours and their
Hmm.
interactions. And it's like, okay, you're good at interacting with people, but you're trying to accomplish something way different than me. And I can tell that they are. Um,
Hmm.
and I didn't, this is
That's
not something I
interesting.
technically realized um, until I got older. I always knew there was something different than some of the people that I hung out with about like my perspective on what I was trying to accomplish with them. But it feels like my overall purpose is to create connections with people so that we can accomplish my goals long term.
Hmm.
Which I always thought that's how everyone's brain worked, but it's not. A lot of people are just trying to have fun with each other in the moment and have a good time. Um,
Yeah. Hmm. No, I definitely see that. That's really interesting the way that you're saying that you may have the same ability to make connections with people as a four would, but the motivation is different. And I'm curious, like, do you think that how do I frame this? So like I feel like with the fours, they're trying to keep their network open, like very wide. They have a very wide network that they can like go to if they need help with things or if other people need help from them. They leave themselves open to the whole network and stuff like that.
Right.
However, it seems like the number one's job is to like keep the network in a kinesthetic, like moving forward action plan like state. Um, and so, or at least that's my interpretation of it. If you feel different about it, or if maybe you would describe it differently, definitely go ahead. But yeah, do you see it um, like do you see yourself automatically just like inventing already a way that you're going to move your group forward whenever you are in a group?
Yeah, that's a great example of what I would describe. I haven't described it that way before, but that makes sense. Yeah, it feels like I'm constantly trying to figure out a way to evolve our group or advance our
Hmm.
group, get them moving forward in the right direction to uh, accomplish more. I would say it feels like I want us to move on to the next step of accomplishing something. I want us to be something better than what we are. Where a lot of and that's actually a great example of like kind of what I've been trying to experience in most settings that I'm in.
Hmm.
For example, I'm part of the church. I'm a Christian person. I run a life group. I run a life group with the young adults. I don't want to talk too much about this, but um, in Christian circles, there's a lot of different kind of people. I'm sure you know this, and a lot of people know this.
Hmm.
For me, the type of person I am is I want to actively make the world a better place and actively do things that are going to make the world a better place. And typically that requires a little bit of passion and caring and thinking certain things need to be done in order to uh, move our group forward and move the world forward. And um, trying to get people excited and motivated and like things actually matter, that's extremely hard. And it's
Hmm.
something that I feel like comes naturally to me. And what you're saying makes sense because it does feel like a lot of them. I don't think a lot of them are ones. I think I might be only one in the group. A lot of them feel like they're kind of okay with where everything's at. It's just kind of like, hey, we're happy,
Hmm.
we're all hanging out, we're having a good time. Like, why is Manly trying so hard? That's kind of how it
Hmm.
feels a lot of the time. Um, and and it does seem like I'm constantly trying to pull them forward into a future realm that I'm kind of seeing that I want to achieve, but everyone's just kind of like okay with staying here. Um,
Hmm.
and part of why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to start using my NF blast last because when you're technically a spiritual leader, like you have to learn how to use that to motivate people. And it's
Yeah,
dude, it's freaking hard, but um,
I would imagine. I mean, as a number one, I mean, usually they tend to get into like a state where they want to inspire people. Like they just use these tactics to like reach underneath and like ignites other people, you know? So like I feel like I mean Shan has talked about the congruencies versus incongruencies of your 512 type with your social type. So like if you have sleep lasts and you're number one, you would be incongruent because flex kind of like it would like draw on the sleep. And so like you're gonna need to know what your goal is if you're gonna go after a goal, you know. So like if your sleep lasts, that's gonna be the incongruent part. And you'll kind of like see that person like talking about like, oh, you know, this thing was very difficult, but it was just like so necessary to do something I needed to do. So like there's still like a sort of responsibility to use it to do something else that you're responsible to do. So what I'm trying to say is like I feel like with Blast Last, even though technically being Savior DI, not Sleep Last, your masculine sleep and everything, and but having Blast Last, I'm thinking maybe um because number ones need to inspire people, or that's like an aspect of the like the job description of a number one. Maybe in that specific sense, you would be like you would feel an incongruence.
Yeah, definitely. And saying in one of the videos that it's not great for a one to have blast last, because part of being a one, you're trying to accomplish a lot and achieve a lot, which requires you to work with other people and get them to get excited and get on board as well. I think she
Hmm.
said that if you're a blast last one, then what ends up happening is you end up attempting to do everything on your own, or you have a hard
Hmm.
time not just trying to accomplish everything on your own, which is definitely what I've experienced. That's how I was early on in my psyche. It was more like, okay, I'm doing this on my own. I'm doing this whether other people want to or not. That's what I have to do because no one else cares. Obviously, when
Hmm.
I started learning that's not how life works, unless you're like a Conor McGregor of the world. But even him, he's got coaches and all kinds of people that have got to work with
Hmm.
him. But in general, I want to accomplish things that require a lot of teamwork and a lot of people to get on board. So learning how to use Blast effectively, it's been rough. It's motivating people sucks, man. Holy crap.
Hmm.
Oh gosh. Dang, I'm tired of it. But it has to happen. It's
No,
gotta
I hear
happen.
you. I
All these
actually
peasants, bro,
recently
they don't want to do anything.
I hung out with Ryan Woodward recently. He's your type twin,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, like at some point, like he was like telling me about the difference between his consume and his blast. Because just from my perspective, it felt like he was blasting a lot. Like he
Mm,
would just constantly like he had some kind of narrative that he was making sure was communicated externally, and I'm like, is that not blast? Like, are you not making sure that people are on the same page on the narrative? And he's like, no, this is actually the consume because I'm like speaking about the facts and my reasons for why these facts are this way, or something like that. And then like eventually, I did end up seeing the blast, like the NF blast, where it's like it seemed like he was taking um like FE um examples from me, like from over time that he's seen, and he's like helped it um basically helped like guide my emotional state from one spot to another.
mm.
um yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's the blast, that's the NF blast, where you're like steering somebody from one emotional state. Also that way in yourself.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. I think there's different levels of it. Like there's like a high level overview of what NF Blast could be, and then there's like a more situational, contextual
Hmm.
NF Blast could be. And the one that's more contextual and situational is kind of like, okay, how can I walk this person's emotional state or their vibe overall
Hmm.
um, into the realm where I want it to be. Um, whether that's
Hmm.
impassioned or excited or maybe like calm and peaceful, or technically sometimes you want to motivate someone to feel like worried about something that shouldn't happen. That doesn't sound nice, but um, it's learning how to control the vibe very subtly with different language, because you
Hmm.
almost like, it's weird how you almost want to learn how to do it without wrecking the vibe all at once. You want it to feel like a flow, because if you do it aggressively, you just broke it. You just attempted to block bang instead of like vibing into a different vibe. Like, okay, this person's scared right now. How do I, like, without them even realizing it, get them to be excited to the point where they're like, dang, I'm feeling real pumped, and not knowing why it happened. That's kind of what I've like started
um
learning, is like, okay, that's what I want to accomplish, but it's hard, man. Like,
hmm.
it's really hard to do, honestly. There's usually I'm really good at figuring things out, but I knew some vibe people in my past life um, that were very good at it when I was in college. Um, a part of
Mm.
another Christian community. It was like, okay, people were getting excited and pumped without even trying. And I was like watching it happen. And I was like,
Wow.
how did you, like, these people didn't give a flying F, and now they're all on board for this idea that, and I don't even know if they know why. So I've been trying to
Mhm.
learn that and understand what it actually means, because, man, I mean, I think all the functions can be a weapon, but if you can subtly get someone motivated to do something without even knowing why they're doing it
Mhm.
and get inspired and impassioned, like, you can be a weapon, especially as a one. That's kind of what I've been trying to figure out, you know? Um,
Mhm.
um,
No, for real. I mean, we have Oprah. She's the number one ENFJ. Gary Vee, another number
mhm.
one ENFJ, and they seem to be doing great. So, yeah.
Yeah, like people worship them, in their fields, which I'm not just trying to be worshipped. Obviously, it's not what you particularly want. But like if
Mhm.
someone actually asks me like, "Hey, Manley, what are you trying to accomplish in the world?" Um, I will tell them with knowingly that they're probably going to judge the crap out of me. I'll tell them I want wealth, power, and influence, because if I can get wealth, power, and influence, then I can change the world for the better in
Mhm.
a very aggressive fashion, and I can do it hopefully in a way that will make everyone feel extremely loved and empowered to move in the right direction. But if you tell
Yeah.
people that you're trying to get a bunch of wealth, power, and influence, usually they're like, okay, this guy's a big old douche. Like, why do you want
Mhm.
those things? Like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
But
No,
if I
for
tell them
real.
like I'm trying to get it so I can give it away, then they're like, "Oh, that sounds nice," but
Mhm.
getting it is hard, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like there does seem to be like a polarity in number ones where like obviously part of them is just very ambitious and they want to be full force in their influence. But then there's like another side where they're like reflecting on the positives that would come with that. Like they talk about it being philanthropy or like even the charity, just like in general, changing people's lives for the better. Um, so like, do you think that, because I mean, they've also said that, I mean, there could be like positive number ones and negative number ones, where the positive ones are just more focused on giving back to people, whereas the negative ones, they will take that power and influence, but they will not circle back and, spread it anywhere else. So I'm curious. I've been meaning to hit this point eventually, but um, has there ever been a situation where there's somebody else that's a number one that you come across and you butt heads? Does that happen a lot?
Um, Probably. I've only learned about this social type one thing more recently, and I think when I come across ones, usually, um, like most people I meet are like genuinely nice people, to be honest. But every once in a while, you can come across someone that's clearly they're trying to control the narrative and they're trying to dominate a specific social context. And
Yeah.
I'll admit that I kind of have a way of tearing someone's ego down
Mm,
in an indirect fashion. Um, but
mm,
I probably because of blast, I'm particularly stressed about like someone else being in control of a specific context, as long as they're not sucking. If they start doing something that seems unethical or immoral, or they're just doing a really bad job, I might like slowly try and uh, move in to at least assist and offer help. If it
mm.
seems like they don't want help, or they're like, F you, I don't want help, I just want to suck and cause problems, that's where I can run into issues. Um,
Interesting.
but there have been, I typically I can maintain friendships, but one of the friendships I had in the past, that I was very close friends with a couple of people, and I'm pretty sure it was a husband and wife, and I'm pretty sure the girl was a one. And after learning about social types, I think I realized what a one could look like. I think she was an ENFP. I'll admit I have some
Mm,
biases against ENFPs. I need to calm down, but there was something about her that felt very much like she only cared about like to an extent that was concerning to me. It felt like she only cared about status, being the coolest person in the room, wanting to be worshipped, stuff like that. And it felt very disingenuous to me. And when I come across something like that, if I came across another one like that again, I'd probably avoid them, um, because I think I am a one, but my goal ultimately is to. I'm trying to make society better. I want to make the world a better place. I want to help people have better relationships with each other, even if I'm not the best at making that long lasting. That's my goal. Where I've met some people where it's like, okay, your goal really is just to get people to worship you because you want to feel better about yourself. And
Hmm.
that's lame. Like, you're not a good person if you're doing that. If you're just trying to use every skill in your repertoire to get people to worship you and like you and put you above everyone else. And uh, I've noticed that before. And I think that probably is social ones doing that. I would imagine. Um,
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
yeah, like I said, usually if I run into that, I kind of tear, like, what's a good example? It's never like, it's usually indirect. I'm not usually like, hey, you're a big old douche, stop being an idiot. It's more like
Hmm.
if they're like talking about themselves, like, yeah, I'm really good at this, I'll be like, oh yeah, you're really good, that's why you failed yesterday or something like that. And
Hmm.
then they usually shut their mouth for a little bit. But I don't know.
Interesting. So I also wanted to touch on like in the Facebook post that we had like a discussion in a post that I made about social ones that have masculine sleep, and you had talked about how you seem to target more yourself, where like you're trying to look for mistakes that you're making, and you're trying to make yourself improve over time by being your own enemy, your only enemy basically. um and so do you I'm curious, how can you like articulate that here?
Yeah, so growing up, I never really had any enemies. My goal was always to forgive people as fast as possible and maintain a friendship and a connection. So that seems different than how they describe a lot of the time Dave and Shane describe ones. Like, they talk about ones like it's supposed to be like, they make a bunch of enemies and they'll be like, yeah, screw this person, like they weren't on my team or something like that. I've never really been like that. um, every once in a while maybe I've had issues with people, but I try and resolve it pretty fast and apologize. I'm quick to forgive and I'm quick to apologize. um, I would say that I'm definitely my own worst enemy, and I actively admit that to people, and I'm a little bit masochistic in the way that I like want people to
Mm,
criticize me, because even though obviously it sucks to have people tell you suck at something, it's it's motivating. And for me, like, my objective purpose is to stay motivated and to move in the right direction and to achieve more. And I've learned that what motivates me more than anything is knowing how much I suck at something and comparing myself to my future self that I want to be. It's less about like comparing myself to other people and beating them out and being better than them. It's more like, okay, I'm not even close to what I think I should be. F that. How do I become better? And um, yeah, knowing that I suck at stuff, it really helps. Like, I used to be in really good
mm,
shape, and sometimes I'll say I'm a fat loser. Like, if you ask some of my friends, they'll be like, "What's wrong with you?" Or what is that? I can't remember what context it comes up. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm a fat loser. I need to get this crap figured out." And they'll be like, "You can't say that about yourself." And I'm like, "Why? It's true." And I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be. I'm not in the shape that I want to be in. Why would I lie to myself about what I'm trying to accomplish? That's not like, I don't want the benefit of positive emotion that comes with being where I want to be unless I'm actually there. So why would I
mm.
lie to myself? I'd rather be honest. That way I can stay motivated.
That's interesting because I do want to tie that into the difference between social one and social four, because I do feel like with the fours, it's not that like I wouldn't jump as far as to say that they um are less disciplined, because I mean maybe that is true, but like it feels like they are more willing to take the benefit of the positive emotion that usually we as the ones reserved for at the very top of the mountain, but they kind of experience that like all along the way. And so I'm wondering if like, I don't know, maybe um that is why they don't end up like going for such like high um
Achievements. Yeah.
mountaintops. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like if you're already feeling satisfied, if you're already feeling like you have what you need emotionally, then there's no reason to chase for something larger. Do you
Yeah.
agree with
No, you're totally right, man. Yeah. I think obviously we're saying stereotypes right now. So threes and
that?
fours, I apologize ahead of time. But I think that this concept of delayed gratification, I think it's like obviously everyone has their purpose in the world. Without every one of these social types, the world would fall apart, I think. But
Hmm.
delayed gratification, I think that's probably a skill set that naturally comes easier for ones. And really, it's just chemicals and
Hmm.
hormones, right? Like our brain,
Yeah.
biggest emotional excitement is attached to some future achievement that we really want to get. And
Hmm.
we're like lying to ourselves doesn't give us the joy that someone else is going to get. I'm not
Yeah.
like, if I say like, hey, being fat is cool, like I don't feel better at all.
Hmm.
Actually, I feel stupid, kind of. Where
Yeah.
I know a lot of people where they're like, yeah, I'm a big person, I'm cool, I'm like, this is awesome, I eat whatever I want. And I'm thinking
Hmm.
like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you feel good about yourself. But technically,
Hmm.
I think that's really stupid because that's not objectively
Hmm.
true. Um,
Yeah.
and if I think about like the threes and the fours that I know in general, it seems like they're more okay with experiencing positive emotions that they don't deserve.
Hmm.
Um, and I would never say that to their face, obviously, but because I'm like,
Hmm.
that's how you work. Like you stay motivated by getting positive emotion along the way. That's not how I work. I'm not going to be motivated that way. If I feel like I'm getting gratified by these little things that, to be honest, don't freaking matter to me, then I'm not going to achieve my purpose. I need to reserve that really positive emotion for this future purpose that I'm trying to achieve. Otherwise, I'm not going to get there. And you have to learn how to use gratification as a weapon, in my opinion, if you want to achieve a lot in life, because that's motivation. That's like, dude, it's not easy to harness that. And
Yeah.
man, and I've learned that even more trying to get other people excited about things like, hey, we're here, we could be here. And they're like, but we could just go get pizza right now. Like, this is great.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, but don't you want the world to be a better place? Like we could create an investment fund, we could actually make an impact on impoverished societies. They're like, but we're all hanging out right now watching a movie. And it's like, oh gosh dang, it friggin' pisses me off. Um, but
No, I hear you. I mean, honestly, I get very triggered. Um, I get very triggered a lot when fours or just anyone with Savior friends, they offer me things that break my goals.
yeah.
Like they're just constantly offering these things, and I'm just like, I never asked for this. Like I told you what my goal is. I don't want to break my goal. Like I told you that.
Yeah.
Um, but like I'm also seeing that because we're lead SE and then adding like number one on top of it, it can kind of make it hard to see the lead SE in our language sometimes because we're speaking as if like the main priority is the goal, which is like an I.
Yeah.
So are you also seeing that like confusion there?
Yeah, that's always confused me a lot, to be honest. And it sounds like Dave and Shan have said things like SEs are the ones that talk about like I need to accomplish a big goal or something like that, which that's a little bit confusing to me because that's part of the reason why I feel like I mistyped myself. Because honestly, I'm constantly thinking about this future achievement and
Hmm.
a backwards path to getting there. And I'm envisioning what it looks like. And when I when you read what an I is and
Hmm.
um intuition and concepts, it's kind of like, okay, I feel like I'm doing that all the time. And especially when I talk to like another NI savior, it's kind of like, you seem like I don't know. It's kind of confusing to me, to be honest.
No, I
That's
get you.
still throws me off a little bit because and it might be the social one that's talking. I don't really know. Like maybe a SE that's a social 4 would be dramatically different.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean, I feel like it's just different like parts of the structure. Like the NI and the flex technically would like what would be the word? Fuse together and like become one like similar part of your personality that is technically different. So like kind of similar to how I mean this is I'm just like connecting it to the way that the introvert extrovert scale, where if you have two introverted animals together, you get like a big dip in your energy state throughout the day, and if you have two extrovert animals next to each other, then you have a big spike at some
mm,
point in your day. So like somebody that's play, consume, sleep, blast is technically more introverted than somebody that is consume, play, sleep, blast.
right.
Because the play between consume and sleep in your animal stack is consume, play, sleep, blast is splitting up the introverted energy, so it's not a big dip.
Hmm.
Um, so similarly, I think that when you have flex with NI somewhere in your stack, it can feel like, maybe it's like a spike in like going after a goal in a savior state because of the flex. But then like the NI last is like speaking about something else. But it looks like it's, you know what I mean? Um, like it ends up overlaying and causing that spike or that like in this situation, if that makes sense.
Mm. Can you expound on that more?
Okay, so like, let me see how I say it better. Um, okay, so like anytime that you're using flex, regardless if you have NI last, NI first, NI in the middle, whatever it is,
Right.
it's going to sound like you are using OI. It's going to sound like you're touching your NI. However, it's more that flex is part of the structure of. Okay, let me say it this way. It's just that the structure of flex is similar to the structure of NI.
Oh, so you're saying, I see what you're saying. So you're kind of saying like when you're doing that, you're flexing, you're not NIing necessarily. They're two separate things. When you're
Right,
NIing, it might be
exactly.
something different.
And it can feel like your attitude towards NI is savior, but it's more that your attitude towards flex is savior.
Okay. Yeah, I see. No, that makes sense. I could get on board with that. Yeah.
Hmm. So
Um,
let me make a question out of that. So like, um, just to like try to parse out the difference here, um, with when you are doing your flex thing, are you like leaving the planet and like are you getting weird with the ideas and stuff like that?
yeah, it's pretty weird.
Hmm.
Um, so I still try to tap it into, gosh, if I start talking about it, you'll start seeing like, oh, this guy's an idiot. Like that's how it, or like, oh, he's kind of like flighty, weird. If I explained it to you, it would sound like I'm involving like goofy, like pseudo spiritual ideas into what can be accomplished in life and what we should be aiming to accomplish. And I kind of like incorporate like Christian frameworks into it as well. Um, so that's why it kind of like I would even say like, okay, it seems like I'm incorporating NI because a lot of what I say does not sound like something that a double activated ST savior would say. Um,
Hmm.
I'm trying to decide if I want to say examples or not because
No, I get you. When I get into my sleep, it's very like it changes the tone of the whole conversation. Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean, I'll say this. If I was to speak like Christian language, I would say something like I want to see the kingdom of heaven manifesting on the earth. Okay? That's the Christian language of saying what I want to see. And what it would look like, I'm going to try to use non-Christian language is like a utopia, okay? Which
Hmm.
sounds unrealistic to people, but creating a world where scarcity is minimized or no longer exists. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. One of them is I think that humans can tap into potential that we don't yet recognize, where we can evolve and recognize something that we don't really understand right now. Okay. That's one way. Another way is technological advancement. Okay. If we learn how to, uh, like we're already learning how to fuse and replicate cellular structure, right? So maybe we can learn how to actually produce uh, raw materials in a sense that we no longer have to actually destroy the planet, and thus
Mm,
ultimately minimizing scarcity to a lower level. And then technological advancement and human psychophysiological advancement to where we're not experiencing sickness and health struggles or even death the same way. Like I think in theory humans can overcome what we consider death in theory. Okay.
mm,
Now, how likely is it that we're going to see that anytime soon? I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but if I went into this more and more, I have a lot of I've just researched a lot on it because I'm really curious about it and I'm passionate about it, but I want to be a catalyst for creating that ideal world where all the things that people see as problems with the world are gone,
mhm,
and I want to make it happen. And most people perceive it as impossible, but I sound like a serious person when I start talking about it because it's like if we really want to see something like this happen, we have to take action and we have to be motivated to accomplish it. But
mm,
most people don't care because as soon as I start talking about this, which rightly so, like why would someone believe that we can eliminate scarcity or
mhm,
poverty can be completely gone or we can have real communities that are developed where people actually do what they're called to do instead of having to suffer and strive and do something that they don't enjoy. You know, most people when the way that they work and provide for their families, they're not even doing something they enjoy. They're not doing something that they're psychologically aligned with, if that makes sense.
mhm,
So I think there's a better world that we can create, and I'm pretty passionate about it. And it starts to sound like really flighty when I talk about it, but
mm.
yeah.
No, no, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, just in general, like, and I sleep tends to sound like that. Like, just how it is. Um, but that's interesting. Hmm. So yeah, I do definitely see what you were saying about earlier, where you were saying that you tend to look at the ultimate vision and work backwards from that to make that happen here. So I do see that on what you were just saying about like you have these like ideal visions of like how things could be, and then you just kind of work backwards from it, which can sound like NI over SE. So that's where like I feel like the facts that your lead flex almost makes you like organize your sleep as if that is what's gonna come first, maybe.
That's how it feels. If someone was to like ask me like, "Hey, Manley, what do you do first, or what's your priority?" I would tell them like, the only way I stay motivated, the only way I can take action is by motivating myself psychologically, and the way that I do that is I close my eyes and I envision the future that I want, which that
Mm,
feels like I'm starting with a future NITI sleepy type vision. I get myself motivated, and then or I imagine that vision and then I do a backwards process of like, okay, what do I need to accomplish to get there, step by step, and then I scale it all the way down to like the day to day, and then I can get myself motivated to take action because it's like I think most people have a hard time with that. Like, okay, I have this grandiose vision. What do I do today to make that happen? Well, I need to be in good health. I need to be excited and impassioned. I need to have energy. I need to take action that will get me into a situation where I can maintain and build wealth, power, and influence. What do I have to do to get there right now? And then I can scale it down and create details. But it always feels like I start with the envisionment, and then I do like an NITI sleep backwards work process, and then I give myself the action steps for the day, which feels more like the ST, and then I go out and do stuff, which feels more like play. So it's kind of interesting.
what's interesting to me is it almost sounds like um, sleep, blast, play, consume to me. And
Yeah,
that's
that
kind of how it sounds. Because like
yeah.
with consume, with consume, you basically break your worldview. So like that vision would break and it would change. There's no like consume like role in that process. That's what it sounds like to me. Um, but like what I'm kind of seeing is that the flex. Um, okay, I'll say it this way: the work of flex has to use sleep, but it also needs to use blast because you need to like create your personal vision and goal, and
Hmm.
then you also have to produce of that specific goal.
Right.
So it seems like because of that, there's much less of an EP pattern to you in general.
Yeah. 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 I think most people would say, like, if you ask most of my friends if they like started understanding OP, like on like a more on a less deep level, more shallow level, I don't. Most of them would not say a chaos person. Most of them would
Yeah.
not say that.
Hmm.
Because I've kind of stayed focused on one single path for a long time, and they all kind of know what my goals are. In the day to day, I'm kind of like goofy, and if work needs to be done, I'll aggressively like go chase after it and do things that seem chaotic. So they might be able to see it in the day to day, but in my overall path and how I like move my life, I think they would have a they most of them would say like, "Oh, Manley's organized." I'm also the organizer in our friend group for some reason. Like I'm the one that communicates everything and kind of makes everything happen.
Same here. Yep.
Um,
Big time.
I come up
Yeah.
with the plan, most of the plans, most of the organizing, and I'm not sure if that's because being a social one, like I feel like it needs to get done, so I'm
Hmm.
like just doing it before other people do, like I feel like it has to be done earlier because I'm like stressed about it or something. But
Or you have to do everything yourself too.
yeah, yeah, I guess I'm worried that other people do it wrong as well, so
Hmm.
it's kind of can get around to it. Um, it
Mm.
kind of feels like, okay, this person might get around to this, but they're not going to get around to it fast enough. So like I could blast them, but why if they're blast first and I'm blast last, why does it feel like I'm wanting to blast it
Right.
before they even consider blasting it?
Hmm.
I don't know. I think
That
about
that's
that a
where
lot.
it's weird. Exactly, right? Because like that's where it gets weird because technically the social types is your social role. So even if you're blast last, then socially you will have to sign up for that job, apply for that job, do that job anyways.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can't, yeah. Which I'm not mad about because it feels like my social kind of like requires me to work on my demons more than maybe some other people might.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if I want to get stuff done, I have to take responsibility for everything. Like I can't assume that someone else is going to do something else in order to make sure that my goals get done because I can already tell they don't give a flying F, unfortunately, like
Hmm.
most of them. They don't care. They're just there to have a good time, which, um, yeah, that's this is kind of an offshoot, but I've always said like I don't care that much about fun, which I don't know how true
Yeah.
that is, but as much as I want to have fun, it's like a byproduct of getting things done. Where like my wife is kind of the opposite. She like loves what I would call fun and stuff like that. And I've always noticed that difference in like, okay, what am I? It's freaking weird. But
No, I know what you mean because I had an ex-girlfriend. She would always call me an old man. It's like you're an
really,
old man. You don't like to have fun. You're not like
yeah,
us. Like her and her friend group. Like you're not like us. Like you don't.
yeah, yeah. Everyone's like trying to have a good time. I'm like, why are we playing board games? This has zero purpose. But
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, it's important to have fun and like recreation is part of a healthy societal structure. It is. And I've literally had to like rationalize that and incorporate it. Like, okay, recreation is part of life. People need to
Hmm.
have fun. It's good. We build intimacy and connection and culture that way. But like,
It literally gives me like that demon state nervousness. Like
like,
just talking about it.
why is this part of life? We're trying to
I'm
accomplish
like, what
goals.
is that? Like, why would you do that? Like, it's such a bad idea to my brain that like Oh my God. So I also wanted to mention you are like literally one coin off from Obama.
Oh
So
yeah.
so do you like I don't know if you know a lot about him, but like do you like see similarities? Do you think you could take his place or like
I I don't know. I honestly don't know a lot about Obama. I've always kind of like vibed with him a little bit. Like I felt a kinship. Like okay, I'm similar to him somehow. Um, Technically, I think if I ran for political office, which I am considering it, I think I would probably run as a conservative. But I have very centristic views. Um, but I'd probably run as a conservative, technically speaking. Well, actually, I don't even know what I would do. Honestly, I have centristic views, so I could probably create a positive impact on either side. But I don't like talking about politics too much because I think it really riles people up, especially in this context. But
yeah.
um, the way that I speak, I think, is more attuned to conservatives in a sense. And technically, if you're going to run for politics, then you have to consider the fact of your natural personality. Like if I'm talking about personal responsibility, hard work, pulling yourself up off the ground, regardless of what anyone thinks, F, you don't need the government to help you. That doesn't sound like a lot of things that liberals want to hear, or at least impoverished liberals want to hear, right?
Hmm.
If they listen to it, it might motivate them, but it's more something that like conservatives want to hear, like, oh yeah, work hard, F the government, this stuff. You don't need other people to help you. Like that's my natural language. So if I was going to run for politics, I'd probably want to run in the realm where people that are going to vote for me are the people that like how I talk, you know? So, um, but like I said, my goal is to garner wealth, power, and influence. So that's not literally my goal. It's like what I've determined is what needs to happen in order to achieve my purpose. So
Mm.
getting in high positions of political office isn't off the table. You know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Does it sound fun to do something like that? Absolutely not. Like every time someone is a president, it looks like they age like 10 years in a span of like 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Oh
obviously
yeah.
it's stressful and it sucks really bad, but um, the way that I work is I'm not really concerned about stress and fear and harm to my life. That's not really a part of my equation. You know, my formula for success is I need to do whatever it takes to achieve my purpose, and my purpose might involve my life sucking sometimes. Um,
Mm.
and as long as I do that ethically in a moral fashion that motivates people and is respectful to others, and I'm down for doing it. You know.
Mm. That's interesting. Um, so my next question is, I've noticed this thing where social hierarchy ones, they can appear even more like serious and responsible than even number twos, because number twos actually have friends second. But since we have flex first and then responsibility is like this very hyper serious like version of it. Do you think that in your real life, like are there like number twos that you kind of accidentally end up like taking their job or like managing things for them because you're even more serious about the responsibility, do you think?
Um, yeah, that's happened. It didn't happen as like earlier on in my life, but now it happens more and more. Kind of like I was telling you before, like I might know some twos that I'm colleagues with, and I'll start thinking they're going to what I am to be done sooner than what they think it is. So
Hmm.
what ends up happening is like on a timeline, like, okay, maybe they were definitely going to take responsibility for it, but my brain got to it before theirs because I'm constantly thinking like, okay, I need to achieve this faster, sooner, better. And what that means is like, I'm going to get to it before them. And if I get to it before them, then it's going to seem like I'm taking more responsibility for it, which may or may not be true, but that's a difference between ones and twos. The thing about flexing and ego is that we're trying to get somewhere probably greater faster than other people. That's like a thing for us.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, that's why ones probably end up at the top a lot. Like if you're trying to get somewhere really big and you want to get there before you die, like you have some very real motivation to take action and not worry about fun as much and people. And since twos have to worry about fun and people more because that's how their brain is wired, they might not get to things as fast, you know. Technically, they're probably considering more different things, but because they're doing that, I think it kind of distracts them a little bit sometimes.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I don't even know if I answered your question, to be honest.
No, no, I hear you. I understand. Like, um, because you're under like time pressure. And this is something else I was seeing because they were specifically saying that number threes are very time oriented, but I also think number ones are time oriented as well. Where it's just not with things, it's more time oriented with the decisions. Like once a decision is made, like that needs to happen like as
Yeah.
fast as possible. So like I think because of that, I'm just kind of summarizing what you're saying, but like I think because of being time oriented with the decisions, um, by default, they will sometimes like take over what number twos are doing. Because in some way they are kind of doing the same thing as number twos, but with that added time pressure, they will have to like expedite certain things and get ahead of them. And maybe that's why they're number one.
Yeah.
But let me see. I also wanted to touch on with specialize. You have a third. I had this like little theory that as soon as we touch our third social need, we actually do our first one correctly. So do you think that like has there ever been a time where you started actually specializing and like narrowing in on like one task or getting your skill advanced in one specific place? Do you think whenever you focus like that, that you end up getting like good luck with achieving your flex?
That's a good point. Yeah. So I have a natural. I'm kind of good at I speak in business language a lot. I don't know if that's because of my type or because I run a business or what, but I'm pretty good at like sales and I'm pretty good at operations and just getting stuff done out in like a field, let's say on like a construction site. My
Mhm.
business is painting and I grew up painting. And I've learned that I'm very good at project, like production flow. I'm very good at getting things done fast and knowing what parts need to go where in order to reduce waste and maximize efficiency. And
Mm,
I learned that I'm good at it because I've tried to manage people, and then something will take like literally twice as long as it would take if I did it. Um, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've noticed that when I focus on just operations or I focused on just sales, kind of like you're talking about, like doing a specialize of
mhm.
sorts, it does start things start moving forward very fast. Um, and I start getting a lot more of the results that I want when I just focus on that one thing. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ham right here and just get as far as I possibly can. Um, so I think what you're saying is valid for sure.
Mm.
Right now, I'm trying to do that with sales because we need to up our sales, our marketing and sales. And I'm trying to specialize in that and get really good at it so I can focus. Hey, I'm sorry. Can you give me a pause for 1 sec? I'll be right
No,
back.
yeah, sure, sure.
Yo, sorry about that.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, so you were, what is it that you were talking about? Specializing.
Yeah.
I was validating what you were saying. I think it's definitely true. If a one can learn how to focus on the main thing they're good at and not get distracted, I think that they start dominating really hard, honestly. Um,
Hmm.
and I've noticed that. That's a really
Um,
good point.
okay. Do you feel like the specialize is um more difficult than the responsibility, or like more like unnatural, or does it feel like wrong in any way?
Mm. So let's say this is kind of confusing. I think it probably depends on someone's personality, like their function stack. To be honest, how well they incorporate it, because of that congruency or incongruency, right?
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
it feels for me is, psychologically speaking, it feels like I'm wired to think responsibility is more important. Like as a
Hmm.
leader, I need to focus on, um, pulling us forward and taking responsibility for everything.
Yeah.
But that's hard for me. Like I have to, like, doing it feels hard. What feels natural, like if I'm actually, like, not cognitively natural, but like functionally, like I get into a flow state easier when I'm specializing. And I think that might be because I'm blast
Hmm.
last. So like responsibility, I feel like it helps to have blast activated so that you can more easily
Hmm.
control other people. Um, as a function stack and my personality type overall, it feels like I'm more wired to just focus on something and become the best at it. Like I'm going to do this, I'm going to become the
Yeah.
best, you know? So it feels natural, but every time I find myself in that place, I end up thinking like, wait, I'm focused on this one thing way too much. I shouldn't be just focused on becoming the best painter in the world or something like that. I need to focus on getting the business to where it needs to be and get other people to be a good painter, which is my brain pulls me back into like flexing and
Uh,
responsibility instead. Um, so
mm.
that's
I
kind of
see what you
hard. That
mean. I see what you mean. It's almost like with the responsibility side, it's more like you are the manager, you make the decisions, you foresee everything. But then with the specialized, like, okay, well, let's sit down for a second and be one of the workers. So that's why it's kind of like not your default way of doing things.
right. Yeah, it's kind of hard, and I'm conflicted about it. And even sometimes I still wonder, like, okay, what would make more sense for me to focus on? You
Hmm.
know, because it feels nice when you're out in the field doing the specialized tasks. It feels nice because if you're good at it, then you're probably going to dominate. Like for me, like I dramatically dominate other people for some reason. Like in my business, when I focus on the thing, like I'm better than everyone for some reason, and that's a one thing to say, honestly. But like it's weird. Like I'm effortlessly better than people at doing a lot of things,
Hmm.
and I notice it, and then I think to myself, "Dang, if I just did everything myself, we would be dominating." But then I like slip back out of that, and I'm like, "Wait, that's a stupid way to think. I can't work that
Hmm.
way. I need to find good people. I need to empower them. I need to train them. I need to help them become more accountable and they can, because if I can get 50 people underneath me that are all doing 80% of what I can do, I'm going to accomplish way more in the world than if I do 100% all myself. And that's the truth. So if I can figure out how to do that better, then I'm going to accomplish more in the world. But it's hard. It's way harder to,
Hmm.
it's way easier to do everything yourself. Like it's way easier, but you're just not going to get where you want to be. You're only going to feel better about yourself, and that's not really serving your purpose. Well, it's not serving mine. If I was a three, it would probably serve my purpose. But
Hmm. That's interesting. I'm seeing like a theme here where like part of being number one is expanding,
yeah,
and like trying to keep things um, as big and as stable at the same time as you possibly can. So that's interesting. The next thing I wanted to touch on was, do you ever have like a friend's last like tidal wave or like a swing where like suddenly you're doing a lot of the connecting with, like, regardless of like thinking about your goals, like the way that you spend your time doesn't have to circle back to like adding to your goals, but it's just a way to, I don't know, like maybe you get very goofy and you stop caring about your image, maybe. Like, do you have a swing like that?
Yeah, every once in a while, if I hang out with people that I've known for a long time, like I can just be goofy and have fun with them. Um, but it takes me some energy to get into that state. I have to like actively and intentionally like shut my brain off. Otherwise, it's hard to get there. But it's only like
Mhm.
temporary. And sometimes I end up feeling bad about it. Like, dang, why did I waste so
Yeah,
much time with those people? I didn't accomplish anything. I had like
yeah,
we ended up having fun, quote unquote, but like what was the purpose of that? And then I have to like remind myself, like, okay, building connections with people is important. Like part of my purpose is to create like a really strong, close knit community with people that are like minded. So that matters. And people
yeah.
need fun. Like they need that to build culture, community, camaraderie. That all matters. My brain's not wired that way naturally, but I
Right.
mean, it exists and people need it.
Do you ever appreciate it when somebody brings that to you?
Like fun.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that.
No. If you like, I kind of have to get manipulated. Like, someone, like, usually if I decide to go do fun, it's a sacrifice. Like,
Hmm.
I'm saying, like, okay, I'm doing this because, like, people want to do it. Like, that's what my
Hmm.
brain is telling me. I'm doing this because people want to do it and it's important. That's how it feels to me. Um, like, when someone thinks purely for recreation. Now, sometimes I'll end up being in it and then I'll be like, okay, I'm glad I did this. Like, this was good. I got to have build intimacy with some people, build some trust, have a good community time. But I have to. I'm always like rationalizing it. Like, okay, this matters. This is important. I should be doing this. That's how it always feels. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll yeah. And I've been trying to. I've been trying to train myself to enjoy the moment more. Like this concept of like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna enjoy the moment. Like I don't have to be constantly thinking about how this serves the future, my plans. Like I can just enjoy this for what it is, and that's
Yeah.
honestly freaking hard. Like I have a very hard time with it, but um,
Mm.
I've been practicing.
No, I see that. I mean, I also relate with that. Like, I mean, like I told you, I had an ex-girlfriend. She would just call me an old man, and yeah, like it was a thing. Like I think she was either a 3 or a 4. She was definitely okay with the friends thing. Maybe she was a 4, honestly. And she was actually an EJ with double activated blast. And I'm like, you're actually more like goofy than I am. And I always
Hmm.
just attribute it to like, oh, she's just having a consume swing. Because sometimes those EJs with consume last, like they'll have this thing where like when they want to consume, they like this is for me. Like this has to be like for me. Like you cannot
Right,
tell me I can't have this because this is the one time I'm gonna have something.
right.
So sometimes they can have that energy, but I'm like, I can't excuse that like all the time. Like she can't be doing that all the time. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but then this friends thing came out. I'm like, okay, well that's probably
yeah,
why. Um, and so yeah, like I definitely think that it just changes the vibe of your type a lot. Like I would imagine that like people would probably type her as like some kind of EP instead of an EJ with double activated blasts. And then
right,
like in our case with like being a 1, um like EP probably could still be on the table, but it's like it's not like the most easy thing to see.
yeah. Someone that doesn't, unless someone really understands OP and all how the system works, like you're not gonna have someone come in and be like, "Oh yeah, that." If you tell me organized chaos, persons, like people or identity, like I'm not choosing chaos for that person. They're
Yeah.
like, I don't think they would for me. They'd
Hmm.
probably be like, "Yeah, Manly's goofy sometimes," but like if I'm choosing an overarching pattern, like I don't see chaos there. Like I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
had anyone say that.
Mm.
Even if I use like a nicer word, because chaos sounds like a bad word. Like
Yeah.
if you call it something else, I think I could get them. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's the so you're right though. The social type, it it helped me understand a lot more because like seeing how different people are, even if they're like a double activated blast, like why do you seem like you're
Hmm.
very momentary focused? Like you just want to have
Right.
fun, you just want to do your own thing. You just want to party with friends. Like that doesn't align with what your functions are supposed to do. But if your brain is wired to just connect with people and have a good time in the moment, like you're going to seem like a way different person, you know? I
No,
mean, I don't,
it's really funny though, because like there are other personality systems, and some of them are like tracking things objectively as well. And so like I have like other interviews on my channel where I interview people that have been typed in OPS plus another system, and we try to compare and contrast. And there's a system called cognitive type that they do like visual typing. I don't like saying visual because that sounds like you're just saying like, oh, you look at the person and they look like this type. It's not really that. It's more that like literally they move and use like certain like visual signals. Like this, for example, is like TI. Like sometimes the TIs like use these
yeah.
spider web hands and stuff like that. And so like with and then you can also track like as they're using those signals, they are like speaking and communicating the same way.
Mm.
Um, and my ex, that she's double activated blast. She's actually SEFI in that visual system, and that just makes like perfect sense with her vibe. Like
Oh,
it's congruent with what you're seeing.
that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, so I think that like even other systems can prove that there are vibe differences between type twins within OPS. And so like it will be very exciting to see like in the future when we get more coins that actually explain these differences to like accurately see people.
Yeah. These vibe differences, is that kind of what you're thinking social type is? Like a vibe difference kind of? Or is that what you'd call it or no?
Well, yes, Dave and Shan, they were saying that the social types can help to explain the differences in vibe between type twins.
Oh, okay. I see. So like
Yeah.
I see. So like a social one, they're gonna probably seem more serious and like focused
hmm
on something. A social two, what is a social two? What would
They
you say a
call
social
them
two vibe?
okay. So I know the stereotypes. The two they call them the headless chicken. So they're just running around doing things like not really processing.
I see. Yeah.
The threes are they. I mean, I came up with this, but the threes they give me this like frozen stare where like they're waiting for something to be told to them, like that they're waiting for somebody to tell them what to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude. You're on point, bro.
it's such a thing, dude.
Those
Like
that
you can
frozen
see
stare
it.
off into the distance, like your brain's not doing nothing without me saying something to you. Like
Yes, yes.
I can tell you're in like a resting state right now. You're just waiting.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. And then like the fours, their vibes more like eh, I mean just friendly. I mean this that's the easiest way to put it. They're just
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say
like
it's like friendly and
yeah.
carefree to me. Like it seems like, oh, you don't
hmm
like it feels a little bit carefree-ish about life. Like you're just kind of around to have fun. Like maybe you can get upset every once in
hmm
a while, but like you're
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
Everybody's best friend. That's how it feels to me. Like
Yeah,
they will connect with you very fast and try to either help you out or just get involved with whatever the party is doing right now. Like it's super
yeah,
like that.
that is so true, man. I got a four friend who I know is a four, and like every weekend he's like helping someone move their fridge or something like that, like or their like laundry machine. We have like a running joke now that like, bro, how do you always find someone to help move their crap or like do some weird house chore like every single week? Like I don't understand. And he's like, oh
hmm
yeah, someone just asked me for help because like they knew that I was helping people with this. And it's funny and interesting.
Yeah.
What is the one stereotype? Did they have one?
The number ones
Or the
are
vibe stereotype?
what was it? I mean, they didn't like outwardly say this, but number ones are like the king, basically.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's funny.
especially if you're DI, I would imagine that like doubles up a lot.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I have one question, and if anybody else has, we have four viewers. If anybody else has questions, send them right
Yeah,
now. We're
questions.
just gonna do our little very quick Q&A, and then we're gonna go. Okay. So we have one question from Lawrence Peterson. He said that yeah, he thinks okay. So you were asking if we both had masculine sleep. Dave actually made me an XF, so we don't even know what my sensory is. But then he was asking, do you guys find that you lean towards the philosopher archetype? Um, how do you feel about that, Manly?
Man, I don't know all the archetypes. What actually are I'm doing a consume right now, but on impulse, I do feel like my brain works that way if I was to talk to people because I don't know what the philosopher archetype is, but I would imagine that person's trying to comprehend life. They're trying to comprehend purpose, meaning. They're trying to understand what they should be doing and trying to achieve their highest purpose very actively. That feels like something I'm trying to do, but um, I don't know for
Mm,
sure. In another respect, I feel like a philosopher archetype could fit into something like what Jordan Peterson is,
hmm.
um,
Yeah.
or yeah, and I mean, because he's even more like he's in a resting state of like I am a psychologist trying to figure out human cognition, and I will try and understand it to the most disgusting level of depth possible. So that feels a little bit philosophy, but
Interesting. At least from my side of things, I really don't like philosophy. I took a philosophy class in college, and I got a C in that class. I get A's in every other class. It's like very few classes I don't get an A. I just get like a C because it's philosophy. Um, and yeah, this is one of them. And I don't know. I feel like my NI is not um like focused on philosophy. Even though technically you may say that like the general job of NI will, especially sleep, will include some like philosophical like thinking. But outside of like those little bits that just come with it, I do not like sit and get interested in like reading about it or anything like that. So we have one comment from Jackie. She said it seems like Fords act like they have time for anyone that speaks to them, and that she's jealous of that. And
mm,
yeah,
that's true. You're jealous of that? Why are you jealous of that?
yeah, I'm curious because, like, personally, I mean, I see them and I get a little bit jealous in the sense that here's my FI here, but like, I get a little bit jealous that they can make everybody like them. Um,
Mm,
I I definitely get jealous that they don't have flex, and so they're not like tied to this thing of like you have to become this, magnificent, impactful person that's not forgotten after their death, and they don't have that like tied to them, and I feel jealous of that because it is very heavy. It does feel um, like as a number one, you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, even though that's just a delusion. I totally understand that, but it's still how it feels, and that's just what I don't like about it. So
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I am jealous of. I guess I am a little bit jealous of the fact that they seem like they can be happy without having a real reason to be happy. That's how it feels to me. Like I'm jealous that you are so satisfied with things that would never satisfy me. Like
Hmm.
that's nice. Um,
Right.
I would never get
Right.
as excited about like an ice cream or saying hi to a friend as most of them. So I feel like they're blessed in that. Like that's nice. My dopamine
Absolutely.
receptors don't work that way. They just don't.
No, I get you. It almost like sometimes emotionally, I literally say it in my head, but like I feel like they got a better deal on life in some ways. Like they were able to get through with less pressure, um, even though the pressure is like in your head, but it's as if they got less of it, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, just by default. Yeah, their brain
Yeah.
is less. They're not their own worst enemy trying to make them accomplish
Hmm.
something in life. You know, they are happy being a server and or something. I don't know. Like they can just be
Yeah.
happy. You know.
They seem like
um,
they're having more fun, like in total, and that's like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're winning then because
yeah.
you're happy.
Yeah. I mean, if my goal in life was just happiness, like man, I would be failing miserably compared to them. Like fours would be. You guys have figured it out. Like you're happy mofos, like just having a good time.
That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, we don't have any more comments. I guess you technically have 5 seconds to put it right now, but let me give it 5 seconds just in case that works. Okay, there it is. So I think I'm a two, so it's like I'm so close, but not quite, because she has friends second. The personal preference is that I like to be someone that others feel valued by. I do value them, but my vibe doesn't show it naturally. Hmm,
Sounds like a three thing to say. I
maybe.
don't know.
Hmm. So you like to be someone that other people feel valued by. So you think that you're not making well, you're also Demon FI. I would imagine this is part of that because like one of the fears of Demon FI is that other people don't know how much you care. So I think maybe that's bleeding into that. Hmm. All right. Well, anyone else? Last call. Technically have 4 viewers, which is pretty good. I'm very happy with that, I will say. So
Oh
thank you,
heck
viewers.
yeah!
I
Thank you,
appreciate
viewers.
you a lot.
Thanks for viewing, viewers.
Yeah. All right, Manley. Well, I respect your time, so I'm going to cut it short. And this is relatively very short to all my other interviews. So thank you
I'll
so
be,
much for
dude. I'll
coming
be
on.
honest with you. I think technically I have more time. If you wanted more time,
Oh, are you sure? Like, are you absolutely sure about that?
I wasn't sure, but um, I recently got some information that makes it look like I have a little bit more time at least. Maybe like another 15 to 30 minutes, maybe.
All right. Well, if our
So if you
viewers feel like if you guys feel like a four today, I mean, just be a four, man. Don't be shy. Just talk to us. Okay. So.
yeah, tell us stuff, people. Oh wait, can I see these? Can I see these comments? Where do they show up at? Oh, I can. Cool.
Yeah.
Jackie thinks she's a four. She said, "Woohoo! I'm a four."
Well, I give them permission to be a four. If you're not a four, you are right now.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go.
yeah, more is good. Yeah,
Yeah,
four is
more
more is good. Yeah,
S lines. Who's S lines?
that's Lake. Yeah, she's also yes, she's double masculine SCFI can simply blast sleep.
Really?
Um, yeah. So now Lake is a four.
Are do all these people have like? Is everybody's a four, bro? Let's all be fours.
Yeah.
How do I be a four? Nothing matters, guys.
I feel like we're
I'm
legitimately
just
having
kidding.
a four swing right now.
I,
We're like trying to connect and everything.
let's just have fun, guys. Like, let's just
Yeah.
have a good time. I'm a DE. I need permission. Let's talk. What's everyone's favorite ice cream? Danny, do you like ice cream? What's your favorite food?
Let me see. So my favorite ice cream, and then I'll answer food. So ice cream, what would it be? Well, it's always the one I most recently enjoyed, and that changes, but pistachio ice cream is pretty good. Um,
Ooh.
yeah,
So
that's
your
nice.
favorite ice cream, it changes?
It does. I mean, like I like just in general, my body is it
Your body is a
craves
wonderland.
my body craves a different nutrients
Oh.
based on like the month, like it's gonna be different. Um,
Oh.
I'm actually forced to be on the keto diet just to treat a medical condition that I have. And so like I haven't been able to eat um, ice cream freely, and so like, but like the one I most recently had was a couple months ago. It was pistachio ice cream, and that was really good. Before that, I would probably have said, let me see, banana split. I have said that before.
Dang.
Uh, yeah. How
Dude,
about
you
you?
you like the cool stuff, man. Shoot. I feel like I'm gonna be honest, I don't eat ice cream that often, but
Mhm.
um
So one thing.
I think yeah. I think I really just like a good like vanilla bean ice cream. Like not like normal vanilla, like vanilla bean. But I'll say, dude, I forgot about pistachio ice cream. That crap is good, man. Like if you get some good pistachio ice cream, man, it's tasty.
I
Um,
like it when the pistachios are soft. Um, like if it's softer in texture, but when it's like harder, it's a little weird.
oh,
I
you have
wouldn't
you
do
had
that.
pistachio ice cream with pistachios in it?
Yes, like it has like
Oh,
little pistachios in it. Yeah.
I've never even had that. I've had it when it's like completely
This.
creamy, no chunks.
Yeah, it's like green in color.
Do you like chunks in your ice cream in general, or let more
Yeah,
smooth?
I like more like texture, like crunch, or it depends. I mean, the pistachio like it's soft, but sometimes I'll like something with brownie in it that's more crunchy. Whereas the
Ooh,
the ice cream itself is cold, so like that it just feels
right.
like a lot of contrast. Um, I've actually broken a lot of teeth.
You've broken
Because
teeth?
like on the back, like a lot of I have a bunch of like chips in the back because like I like to chew very crunchy hard things.
Dang,
Yeah.
bro. You're a crunchy chewer. If you eat peanut butter, do you like chunky peanut butter or soft peanut butter?
Hmm. Most of the time I lean towards thicker or crunchier. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I see. Ooh, there's some comments. Wait. Jackie likes peanut butter cup and moose tracks. Jackie, I'm vibing with you on that. That crap is good. Moose tracks is so good. Oh my gosh. I
Mm,
want some of that right now. That sounds tasty. But
that
just the
does
ice
sound
cream
good.
is a little boring. I need a hot fudge sun. You know what? My grandma, when I was younger, she used to take me to like McDonald's and Sonic, and she would get me a hot fudge sundae. I remember
Mm,
thinking those are really good, man. I haven't had a
yeah.
real hot fudge sundae in a long time.
Not for real, for
Man, I'm
real.
lucky I don't have diabetes. She'd be like, if you're good, then I'll get you ice cream. Dude, she was pumping me with freaking hot fudge sundaes.
Wow.
Jeez,
Oh, but those were
chocolate.
good.
Whoa, Mart. Okay, how do you say Mart J's name?
Marche. Marche.
Marche.
Yeah.
Marche likes chocolate with passion fruit. What
Hmm.
is that? Have you had that before?
Passion fruit's like it's like a purple, if I'm not mistaken. It's
No,
that
no.
purple
I'm,
fruit,
I've
right?
had I've had passion fruit, but I've never had chocolate ice cream with passion fruit. Like, can you get that somewhere?
I've had those like I think it's passion fruit, like these balls that are passion fruit covered with chocolate. It's probably that type of ice cream,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
Mart J thinks you're weird for liking soggy pistachios, though.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't know why. I didn't even know why I liked it. When I had it, I'm like, oh, these are actually soft. I don't think they would like it. I didn't expect it to be soft, but I was like, oh, it actually tastes um like not a pistachio, and I like it.
Yeah. No, that actually sounds kind of nice. Pistachios are good though. They're
Yeah.
tasty.
Hmm.
Um, Marche also likes eating whole glasses of ice cubes. Interesting.
Mm.
Marche, you sound like a unique human being. I like that. Doing the the passion fruit chocolate ice cream and the ice cubes. Danny, I have a one question for you. What are you like trying to accomplish right now? What's your vision purpose?
All right. So I am actually graduating this summer with a degree in psychology, and then I'm going to come back in the fall, like immediately after. And I'm going to continue with my degree in chemistry. Um, Last I checked, I had 41 credits left to graduate with chemistry, but it may be more than that because I had switched from a BA to a BS, so it's probably a little more than that. It's probably like 56 or something like that.
Mm,
And so that's like about another 2 years. And then so when I graduate with my chemistry degree, um, at the moment, I mean, I'm looking at several careers. I haven't like specialized, like narrowed down too much, but like it's either pharmacy or um, maybe work in a lab, or I don't know. We'll see. Like as I like progress more into the major, I'll probably know by then. But so that's kind of like my thing right now. It sounds more specialized, but I think because I'm consumed sleep with being a number one, I'm just so focused on like making it about me that I haven't really like. I mean, obviously, I do have those like delusional thoughts of like, oh, I want to change the world, and like I want to hit something like in this world, like I want to impact something and change it forever, or take somebody down, or something like that. Like I feel that like rage like inside of me every single day, and it actually drives me to do everything I do. I'm always like tapping into it and feeling like, okay, well, you have to do something in this life. You have to.
hmm.
So I always feel that, but like when I like do it for myself, my vision ends up being a little specialized. So yeah.
I mean, that probably makes sense given your type, right? Because like I think your type is going to serve you in a certain way. So I think a consumed sleep is probably going to be more inclined towards focusing on specializing on a specific thing. Probably even if they're a one ego type, like focusing on that and becoming really great at it. Um, is there does pharmacy excite you? Are you excited by that?
When I think about it, I what I like see that makes me resonate with it is that I'm very passionate about chemistry in general. Um, when I took my first chemistry class, um, I was um, I was 16 years old, and I just like immediately just grabbed it, and I was the best in the class at it. I was not studying at all. I would actually do my homework literally in the period before chemistry I had, and I would just get an A on a test, and everybody else would bomb it, and the teacher would be like, "How did you do that? Like, how are you the only person here that can do this?" I'm like, I don't fucking know. Ask everybody else. I don't know why they're not able to do what I can do. Like, like that kind of thing going on in my head. I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like I should do something with this. Like, this is a sign, and this is my savior NF kind of talking about. Like, I'm like, obviously, like if you already know that you like this, and this is already like happening right now, then there's no reason to change it.
Hmm.
Like, I don't need to really look anywhere else. Um, so that happened, and I did not think about like the practicalities of it at all. Like it was just kind of like, oh well, I'm good at it. I feel good about the fact that I'm good at it. I actually like almost fantasize a lot about like chemistry concepts and like how this can be applied, and what I can learn about the world and stuff like that. And like I'm getting like turned on by chemistry. And so I'm like, yeah, that's my reason, my demon thinking reason why I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. That's cool. So, um, yeah, I feel like you could do so much with chemistry, and you're doing psychology. You clearly have a passion for psychology as well, right?
Honestly, I did more when I ended up choosing it. The reason I chose it in the first place was because, and I always talk about this in my typing videos. I never tend to bring this up in interviews, but like I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and that like totally changed my worldview and my life. And I was suffering like really bad at the very beginning. It was extremely, extremely bad. Um, and it took a long time to get stable. And because I was suffering so much, I ended up failing a whole bunch of classes, my chemistry classes. And I needed to change majors. And I'm like, this is the worst thing in the world. Like, I can't believe I'm getting out of chemistry. And um, like, it just seemed like I just went through like this whole like crisis of like, what, like, if I cannot be in a field where I'm naturally strong or naturally good at what I'm doing, then I'm an idiot and I'm a nothing and I'm never going to be able to motivate myself. I'm never going to like have the same like streamline like there is no line like I'm not following. I don't feel like I'm following anything. So, but yeah, ultimately I did psychology because I just needed to switch majors and finish something.
Mm,
Um, but then after recovering from my initial state when I originally got diagnosed with schizophrenia, um, I like got my mental strength back, and I decided, well, I'm gonna come back for the chemistry. I cannot not do that in this lifetime.
hmm.
Yeah,
So you're super passionate about chemistry, and then you felt like you had to pull away from it because of your diagnosis, and then you
yeah.
did psychology, and then you're like, no, I need to get back on track with what you feel like chemistry is kind of your purpose. That's what I would call it. Is you're gifted in chemistry. You're clearly really good at it. You clearly really enjoy it. It's natural to you. So
Hmm.
you got back on track. But
Absolutely, yeah.
dang, man, that's hard. Jeez. Yeah, I know someone very close to me. They got diagnosed with. Um, I can't remember. It's like level 4 or manic bipolar plus schizo. She's schizoaffective. So um, she's had a few very intense struggles with that. So man, that's super hard. I don't know what you experienced, but I'm sure it made life hard for sure, at least for a period of time until you figured out what
No,
was going on.
absolutely. No, it's frightening because it leaves you like there's something wrong with you, and then like if you're not getting better, but the doctors like sometimes I'll have like physical pains and like weird things that could just be from the schizophrenia, and like other doctors are like saying like I don't have anything physically wrong with me, so it's like just like especially as an observer, which they tend to be observers, it is very very stressful to deal with that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's super interesting. So I don't know how much you're willing to talk about this, but you're saying you have like sometimes physical pains, but it sounds like the doctors aren't they don't really understand the concept of the link between your psyche and your physiological state. So like your mind and like body connection, you're probably able to it's actually creating chemicals in your body that creates pain and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I mean that's from what I know, um I could be wrong or I could be talking about something totally different, but like um your stress, like your emotional stress can store in your body
right,
in different for different reasons and if like I'll give you an example, like if you're stressed out about like a breakup or something more romantic, like that'll manifest more like maybe like a heart pain or like something to do with how you breathe or like some organ that like relates to or like psychologically relates to um like your life or something like that. Like we
Sure.
associate it that way, and so we feel it like that.
Right.
In my case, I had like extreme lower back pain.
Mm.
Um, and it was to the point that like in the morning sometimes I would get up and I would fall to the floor because it felt like a
It's so
disc.
tight.
Yeah, like it felt like a disc like dislocated, or was like the bone was like literally grinding or something like that, and it just hurt so bad. Like it was insane.
Wow.
And then
Dang.
I went to the doctor, they did an x-ray, they said there's nothing physically wrong with me.
What?
I'm like, how is that possible? Like, that doesn't even sound physically possible with my fucking lead C. I'm trying to verify it. And yeah, I just think that, like, looking at the NF, like, relationship, there's lower back pain is connected to feeling like you're not being supported by people. And at the time, I was going through that whole like failing my classes and all of that. So I
Mm.
felt like there was no support because I was going through all of this, these symptoms, and I wasn't getting enough answers from doctors. And I was going to lose my career. And so I felt very unsupported. And so I think I correlated it, and I did like emotional work on it, and it did work. I did like cure it. I haven't had that pain in about 2 years now. So I don't know. I don't know if that works, but
Dude, that's interesting. What? So when you say you did emotional work, what do you mean by that?
so I um and again, I mean, I don't necessarily want to like totally like switch and like take all the attention to this interview, but
Look, if
if
anyone's
you're
if
if you're into it,
I know, dude, I'm super intrigued. But all this stuff that you're talking about is super intriguing to me because it's kind of like I feel like it kind of links into the more metaphysical aspects of the human experience. And it's kind of unknown. Like, as you talk about, if you go to doctors about what you're talking about, most of them are going to be like, sorry, bro, we can't help you because we don't know what the F is going on. I'm really
yeah.
intrigued by that because I think there is a lot that we don't understand about our experience. And
Mhm.
understanding what you figured out, like, oh, if I can manage my emotions effectively, I can learn how to heal this actual physiological like pain that I'm experiencing. That's super interesting. I think it's something that needs to be researched and studied more. But
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, yeah, because like I mean there are I was in the like Teal Swans community for a while, then I got out for other reasons I'm not going to mention, but and there were a whole bunch of people that were suffering from a similar thing with the lower back pain, and like just different things that doctors could not explain for them. And yeah, very, very long story short, I was in that community, and she has like practitioners that she trains, and basically they go through something called a completion process where they just have you target a, I mean, you can either directly say I have trauma here, or you can, talk to your body. I mean, by talking to your body, they mean like sensing where your pain is, and
mhm.
like where in your body is that like touching, and what does that pain feel like, and that is the conversation. So, um, but like yeah, they may sometimes just have you talk about like use the completion process on that particular pain, and in my case, it was my lower back, and yeah, like when I would like tap into it, I would have like these like it felt like my brain was like downloading a conversation, and it would like bring up like and then like I'm sorry to be so disorganized, but like throughout the week, after a session or between sessions, my brain would be processing the past that relates to the pain that I was talking to during that session. And so it would be
Mm.
like, I'm like processing, like, oh, well, then there's also this memory I haven't thought about in 10 years. And it feels like the emotion behind it is one of the like it's part of the theater of that pain, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. So, like, how did you do
So like yeah, so like I would like sense into that pain a lot like during the session. So I'll break down like what the session was.
Yeah, I want to hear the session, bro. You got to tell me.
Oh my God, dude. These sessions were 5 to 6 hours fucking long. They were fucking long sessions.
Oh my god.
And it was
Okay.
horrible because like I mean I'm not demon sleep. I enjoy sleep, but the way that they were like making me dive into something that was like weird
Was it like videos? Wait, real quick. Is this like video, like remote sessions
sometimes.
that you're having?
So it would sometimes be video. I did about 11, 12 sessions in total. And like twice we met up on a beach and we did it on a beach.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was cool. Like doing it in person, I did prefer it just because um, I feel like on the video, like when I'm going through something, like I'm diving into the feeling. Um, there's like just the fact that I'm alone, like doing it.
It makes it harder.
It's not that like I need like I don't know how to like say this, but like it's not that I need somebody to do it for me or with me. In fact, I prefer to do it alone, honestly. But I feel like the physical presence is is something I'm trying to communicate. Like the a lot of my emotional processing is done through the physical presence of things, and so like it feels like I'm imagining the pres like the dynamic in like between my presence and your presence or within a memory or something like that.
Sure.
And so like when we're doing it totally like on video, it's more mental, and that doesn't work for me. You know?
Yeah. It's harder to get it and tap into the state that you need to be in order to
Yeah, but
achieve what you want
um,
to achieve. So sorry, I
basically,
interrupted you, but yeah, tell me, walk
yeah,
me
yeah,
through
yeah.
the 6 hour session. Let's do
So
one right now. I'm just kidding.
that's the last thing I want to do. But so yeah, the technically because I read their book. She has a book called The Completion Process. There's technically like 20 something steps, like 22 steps. But basically they start you with they do like a little meditation where you like deep breathing and you just kind of get into your body. They make you more like grounded in your body, and then they get you through like a mental exercise where they have you like imagine a place that makes you comfortable. Like sometimes I would pick the beach or a place with water, and they would have me look at a portal in the water and enter the water. So like the water can symbolize your subconscious mind. So yeah, if you're
Mm,
going into a portal in the water, mentally you may like activate a more deeper subconscious connection
sure.
as long as you believe you're in that portal or you know your mind is traveling into it intuitively or whatever. So yeah, we would get into the portal and then like I would see a safe haven. They would make me create a safe haven with protectors or people that um, you trust or you feel, or like people that your child self would trust and stuff like that. Um, and then um, y- they would have you select the traumatized part, or in my case, the pain in my lower back. And yeah, like I would be taking on the energy or the consciousness of that part, and then I would have to leave behind the rest of myself with my protectors, and then we would go off into our little space of the therapy with that part. And like sometimes they'll bring in another part that has something to do with, or um, like let's say it's like a childhood trauma, and like maybe somebody was screamed at or something like that, and
Hmm.
maybe they were pressured into making a decision they didn't want to make, and so at that moment when you're being pressured, there's different parts of you, um, like, and this is like a lot of double deciding and shit, but like, part of you is thinking like, I can either do this thing and be safe, or I can, um, retaliate back. But if I retaliate back, then I will have the negative consequence of maybe I'll get hit or something like that.
Hmm.
So, like those are different parts. Each of those statements are a different dialogue, and it's its own like part within you. Um, and so, yeah, you may bring in a specific part that has something to do with the processing of the one that you're working with, and they'll have you bring it in. They'll literally like talk to each other, and process, like get the like evolve the trauma to the point that um, like the rest of your mind can slowly update to that trauma, or do whatever it needs to do to integrate an element that will help you process that trauma until it's eventually like done. Like it's eventually um, not, um, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's one way to put it.
Right. So I guess it sounds like the idea is that when you're experiencing pain or struggle of some sort, whether it's physiological or emotional or more psychologically focused, it's because you have unprocessed trauma of some sort, right? And they're taking you through a process of like, okay, let's process that trauma and go through the work, even if it takes 6 hours and
Mhm.
multiple sessions. We're going to process that until it no longer gives you the emotional or physical stress that you were experiencing. And
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
dang, and it sometimes it takes like several sessions that are hours long.
My thing is, I eventually got out of the community because I actually have a brother who has schizophrenia, and
Really?
that's yeah, and I hadn't seen him in 10 years at this point, and this was a year ago. I hadn't seen him in 10 years, and suddenly we got a call that um, he was at the hospital and he was having like an episode
Sure.
where he stopped taking his medication, and things just spiraled from there. And so I ended up visiting him for the first time in 10 years, and I saw something that reminded me a lot of myself
Mm,
in the sense that he just randomly started to channel a god for me. He didn't ask for anything, and um, the way he was doing it, I'm like, this is Demon and I. Like he's channeling what he thinks. Like this is like Demon Blast and I, like specifically. Like he's channeling what he thinks another perspective would say in this moment. As and believing that it's truly what they would think or whatever. Um, and that's the channeling. Or at least in my experience, that is what I got from it. It looked
hmm.
exactly like that to me, and I'm like, that's what I was doing. Like I was doing that for a long time. Um, and sure, that's like the spiritually filtered component of his schizophrenia.
Right.
But still, it's like a large part of it, and it definitely um, like played into when it was getting worse. He was probably trying to get more in touch with those gods and doing that, NI thing again, and that just kind of opens up the wound. and leads to an episode.
Mm.
And so I personally, after seeing him, it completely changed my worldview. Like completely. Like I completely stopped believing in spirituality. Um, I was spiritual for exactly 10 years. Um, like from when I hadn't seen him again, that's like around the time it was exactly around the time I started becoming spiritual. Um, and so, yeah, just from one moment to the next, just from seeing him and telling myself that is me, but I'm looking at myself from the outside, my my beliefs just totally shifted. So because of that, I stopped, and this was after I did those 12 sessions.
Yeah.
So like a couple months after. So after, see my brother and my beliefs changed, I just left the Teal Swan community, um, and I never looked back. Yeah.
So you left the Teal Swan community because what you experienced with your brother shifted you away from spirituality, and you felt like Teal Swan community was probably hyper spiritual in a sense, right?
Yeah.
It's they're really intense with all that.
No, absolutely. It's like a big catalyst for making a person spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you felt like what you did with Teal Swan was super helpful. Is that right?
That's where like, double deciding here. Like even though um I am pointed away from it, like even though I'm like my belief now is that the only thing that is real is science. It's the ST. That's the only thing. And technically that's a demon for me, so it's really funny. It's technically like a good thing. Like it's a good sign. But yeah, so like yeah, I did benefit from it and I learned a lot. Like I definitely I feel like I understand emotions and pain a lot better because of her. Like I understand, like a big one I took away, and I will never forget like the exact way that she said this, but she was teaching that pain is basically the distance between where you are now and where you want to be. That's all that
Mm,
pain is the fact of the distance between those
mm,
two things. And so I've just like applied that a lot. Um, like even now, not being in her community, even being anti-teal now and things, I still like take away the specific things that make ST sense to me. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Shoot. Well, I'm glad it helped a lot because that's good. So when did you leave that community again? That was a year ago.
That was since we're 2023 now. That was I want to say July 2022.
Okay. And do you feel like it's been better for you since you left?
1,000%. I feel like my progress with just making my symptoms go away has been. It's easier to make progress in that. Just because I'm not poking at the demon and I'm not like poking at the like um, like trying to make something crazy out of a fucking function. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's like the downside. Like the way that she's built her community, like the upside of that is that she's figured out how to tap into emotions in a deep way that they can be healed. But the downside is that if you dwell there, you can create even more issues that maybe didn't exist in the first place. It's kind of how it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems it's yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like some people are fine and some people are not. Like, and that's the part I don't know. Like what determines that? But in my case, it's not good. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing a lot better now. That's nice.
yeah. Thanks. Well, to turn this back around the direction it's supposed to be. So yeah, thank you for like asking me about that. I haven't been able to like really um like actually give like my side to that extent on these interviews, because sometimes like people like try to compare and contrast me with like a somebody that's close to my type, and I just don't end up talking like that much in an interview. Um,
Mm.
so I do really appreciate that you got me to like kind of um, speak here a bit.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. Yeah, I just wanted to hear your perspective.
Yeah,
You're so smart.
thank you, thank you. You know, it's funny. I do want to ask you this now because like the whole smart thing, like when I was younger, like when I was in high school going through, you know, my first chemistry class and stuff, I had this ego like where like I wanted to see myself as a smart person. Like I had to. If I was not smart, that was unacceptable, and you know that there was a problem with that. Um, but like then I went through the whole schizophrenia thing, and then like I got humbled um, by failing so many classes, which had never ever happened before. But then suddenly I went through a phase where I thought I was stupid instead. I'm like, actually, I could easily be stupid. I'm not smart. I'm probably actually stupid. Um, and then I like tried to balance that out by like seeing both sides at the same time. Like you're probably smart and stupid at the same time. That's probably what it is. Um, but like, how do you feel with that? Like, do you feel like you like your flex is tied to certain um exceptional qualities, or I don't even know what you want to say about this.
Yeah, no. How it feels to me is that I want to be the best version of myself, and I'm not there. I'm not the best version of myself by far, but
Hmm.
um, I don't like comparing myself to other people constantly. But sometimes that's the only measure of competence that you can really have. Because if
Hmm.
I measure myself against my future self that I want to be, I'm a freaking loser, like massive loser. But if I
Hmm.
measure myself against like the other people that fit a similar criteria to myself, like similar age, uh, context. I'm a boss. I'm like doing well. Okay. Or
Hmm.
like for you, like maybe I don't know who like a extreme like chemist master would be, but like maybe compared to that person, you're not great, but obviously you were 10 times smarter than the majority of people that you were in chemistry class with, right? Like you
Hmm.
were a
Hmm.
boss without even trying. So the way that I think about it is like, okay, I want to, I do want to have confidence because confidence is an absolute key for moving forward in life. If you don't have confidence in yourself and your ability to achieve uh, your purpose and accomplish tasks, you're not really going to move forward. And I feel like that's a big struggle that a lot of people have. So, okay, um, I want to maintain confidence in myself and my ability to move forward and take steps forward. But I also need to understand that I'm not where I want to be yet, to
Hmm.
maintain that motivation. It's kind of like a balancing act, but um, I will admit I don't know if everyone is the same here, but I feel like one like for whatever reason I think ones in general they end up being decent at something. Like I'm genuinely good at a lot of the things that I do, and for
Hmm.
some reason I'm better than a lot of people at a lot of the things that I do. It sounds like you're very naturally intelligent in multiple areas that you move in life, and obviously you face some struggles with certain things, but you know you can say for real you're probably a very naturally intelligent person. You didn't really have to try that hard to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. um
I used to, okay, so I do want to insert here a little bit. So like I used to think that, like I used to think like, oh, you know, like I'm great and I'm very smart, but like now I don't believe it. And like I wonder if there's like some sort of a phase that ones go through where Like they may fail at something in their lives and they're tested, like their ego is tested. And because I'm kind of hearing it in your language a little bit, where you're not letting yourself um, think that you're completely there. Like you're kind of holding back like the statement so that you can keep like pushing for it, so that it's real when you're actually there. I do hear that in what you're saying. But like, were you always like that, or like was there something that happened that made you more humbled or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I started my business. I started like pushing in business in like 2016, 2017. I thought I was going to be able to make certain accomplishments very early on, like very early on. Okay, maybe in like 3 years, I thought I was going to be able to achieve certain financial success. Now, I would say I'm a decently successful person compared to most humans, especially people my age, but I haven't gotten anywhere close to what I thought I was going to be achieving. So, like when I compare myself to my expectations, I'm an effing loser. Like I have failed miserably to compared to what I was really expecting to accomplish. And because of that, like it just made me realize that I suck at a lot of things, or there are a lot of things that are a lot harder than we think. And um, you have to be willing to get punched in the face over and over and over again, in direct equivalence to the how hard the accomplishment is that you're trying to achieve, and you have to be prepared for that. And I've been slapped in the face a lot. Like I learned that I suck at hiring people. I suck at maintaining people's motivation. I suck at um, holding people accountable. I suck at holding systems together and like without constantly having to go all over the place chaotically. I learned that.
Mm,
A lot of that comes down to people for me. Like, okay, I'm not a good measure of people. Like I have this issue of like either I assume that everyone's great and they're going to do a great job, or I assume that they suck and I need to do everything myself. I have a really hard time finding this balance where it's like, okay, if I can just get the right person in the right seat, give them direction, train them effectively, we're going to be good to go. But finding that balance has been very hard for me, and it's been what's held me back from achieving the goals that I want to accomplish. So, learning how bad I am at that has sucked really bad. And I think you're right that like anyone, like regardless of what type of person you are, but especially ones, like I think ones end up getting slammed in the face probably because like most people, they what they do that may be smart to it's smart in a way but not smart in another way is they try to like not chase after something that seems lofty, and what that allows is for them
mm,
to like maintain their like I'm okay, like I'm good, I can do this okay, and I'm going to move on. What ones do is I think they start doing things that are loftier and loftier, and they start chasing dreams that are like, okay, this is going to get harder, and then they get punched in the face, and then they're like, oh, like there are some things that actually are going to require some skill and learning from me. Like I have to figure this out, otherwise I'm going to be stuck. And
mm.
that happened to me, um, through natural consequences. It sounds like unfortunately you got you got slapped in the face by something else that was kind of out of your control, to be honest. So that really sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's really hard. But yeah, I think realizing that, like, dang, there's any point in time where something can happen that's not going to be expected, and it might be something that you're not just going to be able to waltz right over like before. Because I was similar to you with schooling. Like I didn't even have to try. I was like getting A's, and I didn't do my homework until like 10 minutes before class, and all my teachers were like, Manley, you like annoy me because you don't try, but I also like you because you get all A's and
Hmm.
you answer the questions correctly. It was that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
eventually, that didn't work in college anymore because, like,
Hmm.
at a certain point in college, like, this kind of douchey, but I noticed that teachers didn't teach very, like, they were just kind of like saying, like, hey, go read your book and you'll learn this stuff. So I couldn't just
Hmm.
sit there and listen to them and learn what I needed to learn. It was like it was new information that I couldn't learn unless I spent like hours a day reading, which I don't think that's how it's supposed to be, but that's how some of my classes were. And in that respect, that's not something I had experienced before. So that got a lot harder where it was like, hey, Manley, you got to read 3 hours of your like this chapter this week in order to be able to pass the class. And I I don't know. That's not something that I wanted to do. So I started struggling in those classes.
Yeah. Hmm. So how did that end up going? Did you end up finishing or?
For schooling, no, I actually left school. And it wasn't because school got super hard. It was more because, to be honest, I think schooling is great for certain people. And I might even go back to school, but I knew I was going to go into entrepreneurialism.
Hmm.
I knew I was going to start a business, my own business. So, and this is a mistake I made when I went to college is I listened to older people that didn't understand that college was different now.
Hmm.
And they were just like, you just need to get a degree and go do this and that. And I didn't understand that, like, a lot of college is, I wasn't learning anything specialized. I just went to school for like business management. So it
Hmm.
kind of learned like I was it kind of felt like I was learning a bunch of like lower level skills that were irrelevant to me. So I spent like
Hmm.
3 years in college and I asked myself, like, okay, what have I learned? I'm now 40,000 or $30,000 in debt and I haven't really learned anything. Why am I still here? So I decided to leave college and start a business, start working.
Hmm.
But, and I'm not mad about it because I think if I stayed for that fourth year, I would be $40,000 in debt and I wouldn't have learned anything else. But
Hmm.
I would just be able to say that, oh, cool, now I have a college degree, but which, that would be nice to be able to say that, but I don't think I would have actually learned anything else, unfortunately. If I go back to school, I'll probably go back for something specialized like economics or something like that because
Hmm.
I think I was disappointed how little I learned in college and how much
Hmm.
money I spent. I just didn't. I learned more after I started my business. Like the first month of business, I learned more than like 3 years in college, which
Hmm.
is sad.
Hmm.
Maybe that's because of the college I went to, but most people say my college was a good one, so I don't know.
No, no, it's definitely not just you. I feel like the bachelor's in particular is just kind of like a um just something that, these careers that used to weed you out if you're a good match or not, or to just prove that you're dedicated. But it's not necessarily, I mean, I feel like we end up learning more, like okay, how do I say this? We end up learning the skills that we will actually use for what we're going to do in the actual job, not in the degree, unless it's
Right,
probably like, I mean, maybe like if you're doing medicine, you're doing like a master's and something with medicine, of
right.
course you're gonna learn something. But in a lot of cases, it's like direct, like you just learn it there.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like they just don't say that, but that's very important information.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that
yeah.
would have been valuable to me because if I knew that, I would have went into college with a different perspective. Like personally, I probably would have tried harder to go to like a top 10 college or something like that. I don't know. Um,
Mm,
where I could have felt like I was more challenged because it felt like I was just going challenge in general. If I'm going to actually be paying tons of money for something and learning something, like I don't want to be just like in a class where I'm just reading books on like information that felt kind of irrelevant.
mm,
I would rather learn something that's going to really help me in life with moving forward. So I feel like I should have probably gone to like a higher level school and probably taken classes like economics and probably psychology. I really enjoy psychology. So if I did psychology and economics, I probably would have enjoyed it, or even sociology and economics, because that's kind of how my brain is wired.
mm.
Um, I think I would have enjoyed that more, or even done something else specialized. I'm not sure, but um,
Mm.
yeah, instead I just did business management and didn't really learn anything.
Hmm. Interesting.
But yeah, no, there. Now when people talk to me about it, I tell them like, hey, college is good for everyone. I encourage you to go, but make sure you're like try to be smart about what you're doing, because you might just end up wasting a lot of time. If you're like me, at least. I don't know. I don't think everyone's like me, but because there were some other people that went down the same track that I did, and they were like, "Oh, I learned so much," and I was like, "Gosh, dang! Like, I don't." Different people work differently, right? Like, I don't
Hmm.
need someone to. Gosh, I don't want to ramble on too much, but there was this one teacher that like the whole class was just him making up random goofy phrases. Like, what's one? Me and my friends joked about it. He had this goofy quote that was something like, he would say things like, whatever you get excited about gets excited about you, and stuff like that. Like, he would say random cliche statements, and that's literally like what the quizzes would be. Like, hey, what's this one phrase that I told you yesterday? And it was like dumb stuff. Like,
Hmm.
how is this helping me? Like, I don't I don't understand how it's helping me and why I'm paying $2,000 to be in this class for a semester.
I know, right? I mean, those types of professors, I feel like they think um, the students are gonna appreciate it because they expect that the students are like, I don't know, just not number ones. And so they do that thinking that it's better, like the students prefer that. But honestly, yeah, like just I always get so upset when a teacher is like one of those teachers, and then they also expect you to do like all of this crazy, like a crazy 20 page paper with like like proper citations
Oh
and
my gosh.
everything. It's like, why would I like this doesn't make sense. Like what why are you doing? Like what why are you like this? I don't understand.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I think that caused struggles for me. It felt like I was paying money to do a bunch of useless stuff. That's how it started to feel, which I don't think it's supposed to feel that way. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I want to feel like I'm paying you money to teach me valuable skills and knowledge so I can go in the world and have a head start, you know?
Hmm.
Like, if I could literally just skip going to college and be 10 times smarter, like, that's a bad sign to me, because
Hmm.
that feels like there's something wrong. Like, if that's really the case, then why wouldn't more people do that? You know, it's
Well, I also feel like it ends up saying something about you where like maybe you are already smart and that's why like without college you can make more for yourself than maybe somebody else that's not as smart as you. Maybe they can't like they just won't. They can't and they won't do that if they didn't go to college.
right. Yeah, and I think that's probably true, and that's something I had to understand. Like, after I got out of college, I was like, why is anyone doing this? And then I had to start when I started understanding psychology. It was like, oh, there's different kinds of people. Like, a lot of these guys, they would say like, I love that quote from Dr. whatever his name is. Like, I wouldn't have known how to stay motivated if he didn't tell me whatever gets excited about me, I'll get excited about too, or something stupid. And I was like, that's freaking frightening that was really impactful for you, because that meant nothing to me.
Hmm.
But I mean, when there's different kinds of people, I guess, I don't know. Like, some people really do need different things. So I guess ultimately it's important for you to know yourself. Like,
Hmm.
is this really going to help you to do this, or what impact are you going to get? And ultimately, I met my wife at college. I had a really good college, like, I had a really good church experience in college, so I'm glad I went. But um, it would have been nice not getting $30,000 in debt to
Hmm.
not learn that much. That helped
Yeah.
me. I kind of felt like I should have tried harder in high school and gone to Harvard or something like that, and really been challenged somehow. But uh,
Hmm. No, I get you. I mean, it's just so strongly dependent on what the person's gonna do. Like, at least like in my case, like if I'm trying to get a master's degree, then I do have to consider that like as I'm doing my undergrad, it would be the best thing to do to try to get research experience and like work in research already as an undergrad.
yeah,
Um, and like use that. Like the purpose of that is to be able to get into the master's program, so that's why it makes sense. But if that wasn't true, if like the purpose of college was to be prepared for the job itself, then I wouldn't necessarily be looking for a research experience. I would probably want to already learn about pharmacy, but that's not going to happen, so it's not useful.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, no, for someone in your path, that makes perfect sense. Like you're making
mm,
all the smartest decisions. Like
mhm,
if I was going to be a doctor, obviously I have to go to school. I have to go through the painstaking process of a bachelor's, and I have to go get my master's, go get my doctorate, do all the clinical work. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, you got to do it. But if you're, I don't know,
mhm,
if you're planning on going into sales, like that
yeah,
requires zero, like if you just love sales, but I mean, the truth is that you you like you don't need to go to college unless you really want to, you know,
yeah,
because there's not even a sales class in college. Like you could probably go for psychology because understanding human nature helps, but even a bachelor's in psychology, like you got one, right? And I don't know how
mhm.
much it helped you learn about psychology, but
Very
um,
little, I will tell you. No, that was something I was thinking, to be honest. When I was like going into the psychology, even though I, obviously didn't want to like, do that route, but I had to. I was thinking to myself, oh well, I'm curious. Like, am I gonna learn about all these disorders and like things that are useful to know? And honestly, the most useful thing I learned throughout my psychology degree was how to do a research paper.
wow,
Um, yeah, that was absolutely the most useful thing I learned, and everything else was like I just memorized it for the test,
you're right.
but it's not information that I'm necessarily gonna use at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jackie was agreeing with us here.
Oh,
She was
Jackie,
saying
what
that
up?
she has double masculine play, and she needs the teaching interaction. She can't just have a professor handing her a book and saying, "Study this." Um, so
Yeah,
uh, I don't know if
not.
that's just the play, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean, Jackie. Like for me, I can read things and learn, but if it's like something stupid and lame, like oh, what's this class? The class was it was like it was like business statistics, but it was like not actually business statistics. It was just like learn. It was using this like old ancient software the whole time, and like we were supposed to read a book about it or something like that. And they were like, "Oh
Mm,
yeah, read these 50 pages this week." And like I was like, "You want me to read 50 pages on this ancient software that I will never use in my life?" I just couldn't get myself motivated to read it. I just couldn't.
mm,
And it felt like I was like it was so hard to do, which is rare for me because usually I could stay pretty disciplined. But this was like I'm literally doing useless stuff. Like I'm wasting my time and my life reading a book. Where if the teacher had taught it in class, I would have been fine because that's how I got through. Usually, like oh, the teacher is teaching me this stuff. I'm a really quick learner. I can listen and I can like easily pass a quiz or a test. But instead, they were like, "I'm going to teach you nothing during class, and I'm going to make you go read for a couple of hours, and then you have to come and do a quiz every single day on this class on this crap." Man, it sucked. It was not good for me. It's not how my brain works.
mm.
Um, I
Damn.
I don't know.
Mm,
It was just a combination of variables where it kept feeling dumber and dumber that I was spending money to get someone to give me a book that I could go read. I was like, I started thinking like, if I'm gonna, first off, I could like I'm paying you to tell me to go read something so I can take a test in your class. Like, I could literally go buy this book myself, which I had to buy it for myself, and just read the book myself if I really wanted to do this. And even
mm.
if I did want to do that, I wouldn't because this is useless information that I'll never use in my life. Like, that's how it felt. So it was kind of like, oh gosh, why? I don't know. You go to college and you think that someone like some smart people came up with everything that you're learning, and that's not really the case. It's just normal people that are getting paid to be there to teach. A lot of them aren't actually good teachers. They're just there
Hmm.
because they get paid, and they can't get fired because they've been there for too long, and you can't fire people that have tons of tenure. And it's just,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think if I didn't realize all these factors when I was going to college, but I feel like if I went somewhere else, it would have been better. But it's my fault. I should have taken more responsibility. I didn't think about it. I was just doing what someone told me.
Yep. I mean, that's just like the thing, and I feel like ones end up like resenting people later, because like when we're young, as you know, number ones, we end up having to listen to other people, um, and we just kind of take what sounds like the most um smart thing to do. And of course, that's gonna be college. But then like later on, like because we're number ones, we kind of resent that like people didn't tell us like all the negatives that were gonna come with those decisions. Um, and or maybe that's also partly being consumed, but like the combination especially, we're like super sensitive to taking help from other people. So like at this age now, um, are you still taking like advice from other people, or do you tend to just kind of build it yourself?
That, yeah, that's one area where I still struggle. Like, I try to learn as much as possible from other people, but in general, I don't. I consume any and all information, but I don't just like take advice from people, because what I've learned is, this is kind of sad, but I feel like most people have gotten lucky in their
Mm.
accomplishments.
Yeah.
But the people that I do take advice from are people that have gotten to where I want to go, you know? Um, like, I don't know if you know, like, one example, like, there's a ton of guys, like, these like male gurus that are like, I'm an alpha male, and I'm going to teach you guys how to have relationships with women and stuff like that. And it's like, why would anyone listen to you? You've been married 3 times, you've gotten divorced 3 times, you can't maintain a
Hmm.
relationship, you're just trying to bang people that are 20 years younger than you.
Hmm.
Like, I would never go to that person for relationship advice ever.
Hmm.
Like, you, so, and I feel like that's a lot of what the world is like a bunch of people trying to give advice on things that they suck at. Um, and people, because they're good at presenting themselves, people pay for it. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I don't know. And a lot of success is contextual. Like, I've tried to get advice from like other business owners before. And um, there's like a lot of nuance in how things work. Like, in business, a lot of business owners, they got successful by accident or just by like taking action. Like, I'm blast last. So the way that I work is, I'm going to try to do things like once or twice and get it perfect, which is really the best way to do things all the time. But like, I've tried to get advice from a lot of business owners where it's like, hey, you're doing well. You've gotten to a certain point. I'm going to get advice from you. And then they'll end up saying, like, oh, yeah, you just need to spend tons of money on marketing. And I'm like, what do you mean spend tons of money on marketing? And they're like, yeah, so I just put out tons of flyers. Like, yeah, just put out a flyer, like, send them out. And it's like, wait, are you telling me that you don't have any specialized knowledge whatsoever? You literally just spent tons of money until it worked,
Hmm.
and you just kept spending money. And they're like, yeah, that's how you do it. Like, just take action, like, work relentlessly, work hard, spend money, like, do this, do that. And ultimately, what I learned is, like, people a lot of the time, they don't even know how they got where they got. They're just
Hmm.
they just did stuff until they got lucky, quote unquote. They didn't technically get lucky. They did figure it out, but they don't even know how they figured it out. Which, for me, I guess I'm a douche, because that doesn't mean anything to me. With, like, I don't know what about my type makes me this way, but like, if I couldn't easily recreate something that I achieved, I didn't really figure it out. I wouldn't feel right about it. Like, I want to know why and how I achieved it. But a lot of these guys out here, like, if you ask them, like, hey, how'd you get where you got? And you listen to their explanation, I mean, it's weird. It's like the equivalent of like a biochemist creating a new pill and like accidentally getting there, but not being able to reverse engineer it, you
Hmm.
know? Like, this isn't useful for us at all. You got a chemical, you don't know how you got the chemical. Now, what can we do with this? Like, you're proud because you just cured cancer, but that's useless to us, because, Like we can't recreate it. It feels stupid to me. It's obviously I'm giving a stupid example, like a raw example, but like that's how it feels to me when I talk to people about business and a lot of other things that I need advice on. Like,
Right.
congratulations that you're doing well, but you can't really help anyone if you don't know how you got there. You know?
Mm,
Yeah, I'm ranting.
that's
Sorry.
interesting. No, that's a very interesting idea. Like, I feel like and I wonder if like part of it has to do with being number one. Like, we are, we're like more responsible for like making sure that the process is very clear. Like in the sense that, like, if you look at Andrew Tate or Gary Vee, or any of these guys that are number ones, that they inspire other people, or they try to inspire other people. I mean, Andrew Tate's kind of, we we know how he kind of leans with like his vibes and stuff, but he's trying to inspire other people,
Right.
and he's trying to make the process very clear. Like, this is how you do it. This is the only thing you have to care about. This is the only part of the equation that matters.
Right.
And everything else you can throw it out. It's actually a distraction. So I feel like part of number one is to expect that um, um, like information is like narrowed down to exactly what makes it useful and exactly what makes it part of what's important. And I don't mean to make it sound like my NF sleep, but like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're definitely right though. I mean that seems super important to me. I mean, we're probably even different in certain ways given that like I'm TI and you're FI, but I
Hmm.
don't know. The process matters to me a lot. And I feel like if you don't, part of the biggest purpose for me of actually understanding why I'm doing something is to, it's to, if I don't understand why I'm doing something, then I can't use it to serve other people. And that's like my biggest purpose really is that I want to be able to serve other people and create a system so it can be recreated. Because I'm not even like trying to, like, I want to be a billionaire. I want to take over the world. I want to do all this stuff. I want to be influential. But like, I'm not even doing that for myself. I want to get there so that I can teach other people how to do it because if we all succeed, then the world's going to be a better place. But if I just get there and someone's like, "Hey, Manley, how do I do what you did?" and I'm like, "Well, just work hard, buddy. Just work really hard." Like that's not useful to anyone, really, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Or I guess that like then I'm a motivational speaker, but like just work hard. Like that's I don't
Hmm.
know. That's not what I need. So I don't want to be that person.
No, I get you. I feel like there's no like leverage in not knowing why you're successful. Like, I feel like part of the reason why we care so much about the process and all of that's because we're trying to get a grip on the success, I think.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, like I'm partnering. So I'm partnering with a very successful painting organization. And part of the reason I'm still pleased that I partnered with them, but part of the reason why I partnered with them is because I thought I was going to be able to go to them and be like, hey, we're both running a painting business. Yours is doing 10 million plus a year. Let me like tell me your marketing channels. Tell me how you're spending your dollars. Tell me like show me the content. Show me the copy, which is just the text that you use. Like I'm gonna imitate it in my market, and we should be able to dominate. And all the answers that I get are kind of vague. Like
Hmm.
they don't really know exactly. They know that they're getting results, but they don't like it's not completely clear how, or it's
Hmm.
hard for them to explain. And it's like, man, how can you be running a multi millionaire, like over $10 million company and you're not really certain how you did it, or you're not certain how to recreate it. That's weird to me, and also surprising, because I would almost not even allow myself to get to a certain point if I didn't know exactly how. I'm not finding. I just don't discover things by accident. That's not how I work, I guess.
Then I guess that those people don't even know what they actually did. If you know what I mean, like they don't know what in their behavior or what in their patterns led to their luck. I guess
Yeah,
it's luck at that point.
that's how it feels. That's why I say, like, some people, like, I've said that before to a couple of people, and they're like, "Well, they worked hard," and it's like, yeah, they did. Like, you can work hard, but still, like, you don't. If there's tons of people that work hard, but they're not becoming millionaires, like,
Mm-hmm.
not how you got it. Like, if you were just one of the people that worked hard and got lucky, like, that just as easily could have been someone else that caught onto it. Like, I don't. That's just, it doesn't make sense to me. That you aren't able to look back and really understand exactly how to make it, exactly how to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. But I guess a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that's like me speaking from my saviors, because, like, if I was blast first, like NF blast first, like my brain would probably be wired to say, like, okay, if I just work really hard and take action and I believe that I can achieve, then eventually I'll achieve it. And I probably would. I would end up succeeding at some point, just because I busted my butt and did a bunch of stuff. And then someone would ask me, like, "Hey, Manley, how did you get here?" And I'd be like, "Just work hard." And I'd end up being that guy, just telling them general NF blasties information. But it feels weird to
Mm.
me not to be able to give very
Interesting.
precise information. Like, there's so much nuance to everything. Like, someone can even tell, like, for example, this company, they might tell me, like, "Hey, man, like, put out flyers. Like, put out flyers in your target market." Like, I've done that. I've done that dozens of times. That doesn't get results. Like, you have to have very specific photos. You have to have very specific text. Otherwise, people don't respond to it. There's specific methods that need to take place. There's
Mm.
nuance.
Yeah.
You can't just, like, say Danny wants to start a business. You can't just, like, I'm gonna make 10,000 flyers and put them in a neighborhood and make $1 million. Like, that's not how it works. But there's a lot of guys that'll tell you, like, that's what they did. Like, I just made flyers and that's how I made tons of money.
Mm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I get
interesting.
you. I mean, that there's like a formula or an equation occurring and everything. So yeah, it's like that matters. Like that calculates um like the likelihoods and stuff like that. Um, Jackie was saying that, and I did notice, like she's right. She was saying that Brennan said something similar to something you said, where he wants to complete the goal so that he can help others do it too. And it seems like um, I don't know if that's like a beta thing or maybe because you guys are double feminine, there's more of a competitive with like offering like a nurturing thing.
Mm.
Um, Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure probably the double masculines want to help other people too, but it feels like I'm not sure. But yeah, so like you want to complete your goal, to help other people, but like which one comes first and which one is more important?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because of the way I work, it feels like I can't truly help other people unless I actually know how to help myself.
Hmm.
That's how it kind of feels to me. Um, like, technically, I could, like, if you ask me for advice, I could start spouting off bull crap that I think is true. But if I didn't actually do it, then I'm gonna feel like a disingenuous person. you know
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's my whole rant right now, is I feel like a lot of people are doing that, is like, you don't even know how you succeeded. Like, how are you off here teaching people stuff or preaching at
Hmm.
people? you know which, more power to you if you're actually helping people, but um
Hmm.
I want to know how to get to where I want to get, so that I can go to other people and tell them, like, hey, this is how you do it. you know You could also just give people tons of money and just hand them stuff, but I don't think that's what people really want. Like to a certain extent, people want to be able to achieve their purpose through their own accord, which this is probably just a one speaking, to be honest, but I feel like people derive a lot of satisfaction through like being able to self-satisfy to a certain extent. Like, so yeah, so I want to be able to help people with that. And maybe it is, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
Brennan, what's Brennan's type again? Is he the
He's double feminine TISE consume flame last sleep number 1.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so he's pretty similar to my type. He's pretty close.
Yeah.
He's sleep last. He's an IP and he's sleep last. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just us speaking from our demons, like we want to
Could be.
we got to do all the front end work to arrive at our demons, something like that.
Yeah, it could be. I was just thinking, like, because, like, I was like questioning if it was because you guys are gamma because of like SCFE play. Um,
You mean beta?
yeah, beta. But like in my case, as a gamma, with SETE play, I feel like in my flex, there's a lot more of like a vision to um, get like a job done or some kind of work done that is necessary to unblock something that has been harassing people for a long time.
Mm.
So like that's how it plays in my head. Like I just want to unblock something for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's more like, yeah.
Some kind of ST like offering, whereas you guys are more like some kind of SF, like help people achieve the same physical value that you were able to get, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to help people trying to help people achieve their purpose in life. Like I want to achieve my purpose in life so I can help other people achieve it.
Hmm.
And if I feel like if I can help everyone achieve their purpose, then the world would be a much better place.
I think it's really great, like just getting to know your full type a lot better, and how like with the masculine sleep, you're very focused on like putting pressure on self to make the world better. It's been really amazing, like getting to understand your full story and see how all those parts fit together. But so yeah, so thank you so much for coming on. We've reached our end here. So
Heck yeah, bruh.
all right, so
It was a good one, bro. It was nice talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
all right, sounds good.
Later, big
Bye,
boy.
everybody.